Chapter 1290. The giant axe suspended at the top of Buzhou Peak exuded a monstrous battle intent. Even with Ning Cheng's late-stage primordial chaos strength, this battle intent still affected him. Dao charm flowed around his domain, preventing this battle intent from penetrating it. When no more fragments flew over, the indestructible axe had fully taken shape. Fortunately, the indestructible axe was suspended horizontally, not with the axe blade facing down. Although the battle intent was monstrous, it was still within control. If the axe blade was facing down, Ning Cheng even wondered if he would have brought out the good fortune divine spear. This giant axe's battle intent was too terrifying. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness fell on the indestructible axe's axe blade and found a few missing corners. Even the blade of the axe was missing. He knew very well what was going on. The missing corners were hidden in his mysterious yellow bead. It seemed that no matter how powerful the indestructible axe condensed, it couldn't tear through his mysterious yellow bead and let the fragments of the indestructible axe fly out. The mysterious yellow bead and the indestructible axe were treasures of the same level. The indestructible axe could make his ordinary ring explode, but it couldn't do anything to the mysterious yellow bead. Brother Ning carefully retreated. He knew that the indestructible axe wasn't his. The moment he saw the indestructible axe, he knew that this axe had recognized a master. And the owner of the indestructible axe would definitely not be him, who possessed the good fortune mysterious yellow bead. However, deep in his heart, he still wanted the indestructible axe. If he could obtain the indestructible axe in his hand would be complete, because the remaining fragments of the indestructible axe were all on him. The indestructible axe's battle intent was already so violent. Once he used it, its power, at this moment, Ning Cheng saw a giant hand grabbing towards him from the void. The giant hand directly grabbed the handle of the indestructible axe. At the same time, the monstrous battle intent around the indestructible axe disintegrated. The giant hand broke through the indestructible axe's Dao charm battle intent and went straight in. Ning Cheng clearly knew that the giant hand was a Dao charm handprint, but the handprint that ignored everything still made Ning Cheng tremble. In the interface with slightly weaker laws, he could still stretch out his Dao charm giant hand. But it absolutely couldn't be like this, which looked like a real person's hand reaching out and going straight in. Moreover, it could directly break the indestructible axe's terrifying battle intent. The violent power seemed to suppress the entire void, and Ning Cheng found it extremely difficult to take a step back. The violent power seemed to suppress the entire void, and Ning Cheng found it extremely difficult to take a step back. Back when he was outside the underground abyss of the Great Change Realm, he was also struck by a handprint across the endless void. Now, he could see a clearer handprint of Dao runes. Ning Cheng understood that these two handprints didn't come from the same person. Moreover, the strength of this Dao charm handprint wasn't any weaker than the handprint that attacked him. The vast of the void, how many such powerful experts were there? In the void, how many heaven, the indestructible axe? Seeing that the hand seal was about to grab the handle of the indestructible axe, the axe blade of the great axe suddenly erupted with a powerful axe line blade light. This axe line's blade light clashed with the incoming palm, causing the sky to explode with an endless Dao charm aura, causing the laws in this instant to shatter. Cracks of unfathomable depths appeared in the void. Some cultivators who had not escaped far from Zhou Peak were blasted into nothingness by the shockwaves from the explosion of laws. Even Ning Cheng was swept away by this terrifying shockwave, causing his entire person to tumble out of the void. After the indestructible axe slashed out an axe trace, it turned into a shadow that even spiritual consciousness couldn't reach. Then, it disappeared into the void. Even the huge handprint couldn't do anything about it. Ha! A voice suddenly appeared in the void. That voice fell into Ning Cheng's ears like thunder. Ning Cheng felt shocked and immediately brought out the starry sky wheel. He didn't know why, but so many old fogies suddenly appeared in the void. Moreover, each of them had the strength to kill him in seconds. Wait! The voice from the void fell into Ning Cheng's ears again. I have no malice towards you. Can you take me as your master? Ning Cheng had already brought out the starry sky wheel and felt that the owner of the voice hadn't approached him. Feeling slightly relieved, he clenched the good fortune divine spear and spoke up calmly, "Senior's cultivation method is indeed incredible, but I have no intention of taking you as my master. I hope Senior can forgive me." This voice sounded a bit old, but Ning Cheng could feel that the other party was very old. It was so old that he couldn't even imagine it. "Oh, it's a pity. My Taoist name is Purple Heaven. Maybe we will meet again one day." After saying this, the voice completely disappeared. Ning Cheng felt that the aura of this powerhouse had completely disappeared. Only then did he feel relieved to drive the starry sky wheel. Even with his current strength, he still felt that the void was too dangerous. From this, it showed how many powerful people were hiding in the vast void. After the starry sky wheel completely left Buzhou Peak, Ning Cheng began to think about who this Purple Heaven was and whether he had also participated in the Good Fortune War. Ning Cheng believed that with the other party's strength, he was definitely qualified to participate in the Good Fortune War. Since Buzhou Peak's Good Fortune indestructible axe had appeared, Ning Cheng didn't even think about snatching it. He also knew that he couldn't snatch it. This Tao Monarch Purple Heaven reached out to snatch it from the endless void, which showed how powerful he was. The reason why he couldn't grab the Good Fortune indestructible axe was not because of Tao Monarch Purple Heaven's strength, but because he was too far away. Since Purple Heaven dared to snatch the Good Fortune indestructible axe, did he also possess a Good Fortune treasure? Listening to his voice, he should be quite old. Ning Cheng shook his head and looked at the Good Fortune divine spear in his hand. Just as he was thinking about when the Good Fortune divine spear could evolve and become a weapon that could fight against the indestructible axe, a thought suddenly popped up in his mind. Taoist name Purple Heaven. According to Chinese mythology, there was a Purple Heaven Palace. He knew that a peak powerhouse lived in the Purple Heaven Palace, which was Old Ancestor Hung Jun. Old Ancestor Hung Jun possessed the Good Fortune Jade Butterfly. Could it be? Ning Cheng was shocked by his own thoughts. It was just too crazy. Old Ancestor Hung Jun was obviously a legendary figure, a powerhouse in myths and legends. How could he appear in the vast void and even want to snatch the Good Fortune indestructible axe? Ning Cheng patted his head. He felt that after using the recalling Bodhi seed to heal his Tao marks, he often couldn't distinguish between reality and illusion. Seeing Buzhou Peak reminded him of Gongang's broken Buzhou Mountain. Hearing about Purple Heaven, he thought of Old Ancestor Hung Jun. Don't think about it too much and return to the Grand Essence Realm. This time, Ning Cheng had good luck. He quickly found someone and asked about the way to the Five Realms Void City. Not many people knew about it in the Grand Essence Realm, but many people in the Five Realms Void City knew about it. Even if the Starry Sky Will didn't have an artifact spirit, Ning Cheng still entered the Five Realms Void City a year later. Ning Cheng wasn't in the mood to wander around the Five Realms Void City. He immediately came to the teleportation array. He wanted to go to the Grand Essence Realm, and using the teleportation array would save him the most time. Ning Cheng had just paid the spirit crystals and was waiting for the next wave of teleportation when the teleportation array not far away flashed with a circle of white light. What puzzled Ning Cheng was that only one person rushed out of the teleportation array after the white light flashed. This person's face was pale, and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Ning Cheng didn't need to use his spiritual consciousness to know that this person was seriously injured. Since this person could seriously injure a Tao Transformation Holy Emperor, it seemed that the person this person provoked wasn't weak. What made Ning Cheng take a second look was that this person was a pill deity. Ning Cheng's strength far exceeded the other parties, and his alchemy Tao level also far exceeded that of ordinary alchemy masters. Therefore, he could see the Tao charm of the alchemy Tao around this person. Whoever helps me send this jade slip to the Grand Essence Realm and give it to Tao Lord Grand Essence, this ring will belong to him. I'm a Tao Transformation Alchemy God, and there are many precious pills in my ring. The pale man with blood dripping from the corner of his mouth didn't leave immediately. Instead, he raised a ring and a jade slip to help deliver the letter. Tao friend, hurry up and enter the teleportation array. Don't let people wait for too long. The cultivator in charge of the teleportation array impatiently urged Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng waved his hand, wait a bit more. If I break the rules, I'll just teleport in the next round. After Ning Cheng said this, he walked towards the heavily injured Dao Transformation Holy Emperor who wanted to deliver the letter to him. At this moment, there were already a few people ahead of him. Dao friend, I'm willing to help. I've been to the Grand Essence Realm. So what if I've been to the Grand Essence Realm? I have a friendship with a general of the Grand Essence Dao Court Army. I'll definitely help you deliver the letter to Dao Lord Grand Essence. In order to fight for the right to deliver the letter, a group of people started to compete. If this wasn't the teleportation palace of the Five Realms Void Marketplace, it wasn't impossible for them to start fighting. Before the Dao Transformation Holy Emperor could speak, the teleportation array flashed with white light again. The Dao Transformation Holy Emperor's face went even paler. Ning Cheng squeezed through the crowd and walked in front of him. Without hesitation, he stuffed the jade slip and storage ring into Ning Cheng's hands. You, hurry up and help me deliver this to the Dao Lord of the Grand Essence Realm. Ha, let me see who has the guts to deliver this to the Grand Essence Realm. A mocking voice sounded and 2 men and 1 woman walked out of the teleportation array. The moment the 3 of them walked out, the hall fell silent. One of them was a Dao Essence Divine Emperor at the 2nd step and the other 2 were Dao Transformation Holy Emperor tertiary stage. With such a powerhouse speaking, who would dare to send a letter? That would be courting death. The cultivators surrounding the Dao Transformation Holy Emperor all moved away. Only Ning Cheng and the pale-faced Dao Transformation Holy Emperor were left. Ning Cheng didn't care about the 3. His spirit sense broke the restriction on the jade slip and scanned inside. There were only 7 words on the jade slip: seeking help, Grand Beginning Lu Dongsa. Ning Cheng's heart jumped. If he had a friend in the Grand Beginning realm, it would be Lu Dongsa without a doubt. Lu Dongsa was open-minded and helped him a lot. Even when the Dao Court army invaded the Grand Essence realm, Lu Dongsa gathered a group of primordial chaos experts and rushed to the Grand Essence realm to help. But Lu Dongsa was the president of the Grand Beginning Realms Pill Association. Even the top sects wouldn't dare to do anything to him, right? Who dared to do anything to him? No matter who it was that made a move against Lu Dongsa, once he found out about this matter, he would not stand idly by. He was already planning to go to the Grand Beginning Realm to see Lu Dongsa. Now that Lu Dongsa was in trouble, he had nothing to hesitate about. Chapter 1291. Ning Cheng didn't even look at the 3. He took out a pill and gave it to the injured Dao Actualization Divine Emperor. This is a recovery pill. The Dao Actualization Divine Emperor knew it was over, but he still took Ning Cheng's pill. He originally didn't plan on swallowing this pill, but once the pill was in his hand, he exclaimed, "This is a healing pill." After he finished speaking, he did not hesitate and directly swallowed the Dao pill. Ordinary pills could not work on his injuries, but this healing pill could obviously solve the problem easily. After eating the pill, the Dao Actualization Divine Emperor felt his injuries disappear. His God essence and spirit sense rapidly recover. Even his sea of consciousness strengthened a bit. This was definitely a top-level recovery Dao. Taisher Pill Association's Leng He thanked Dao friend for your help. The Dao Actualization Divine Emperor quickly bowed to Ning Cheng. The 3 also felt Ning Cheng wasn't ordinary. An ordinary person could take out a Dao pill so casually. Even a recovery Dao pill wasn't easy. What's more, to take out this Dao pill and give it away. The Dao Essence Cultivator didn't continue to sneer at Ning Cheng, nor did he make a move. Instead, he cupped his fists towards Ning Cheng and said, "This Dao friend, Leng He has a personal grievance with us. I ask this friend not to intervene." Before the Dao Essence Divine Emperor finished, he was interrupted by the furious Leng He. "Tui, shameless thing. You plotted against our association leader Lu and forcibly took over the association, kill." The Dao Yuan man's face turned cold as he raised his hand. After that, he glanced at Ning Cheng again. "I represent the Taisher Dao Court and the Taisher Realm Pill Association. If anyone tries to stop me, they will be going against the Taishu Dao Court and the Taishu Realm Pill Association. The two Dao Actualization Divine Emperors immediately charged at Leng He. The Dao Essence Divine Emperor didn't move. He was sure Ning Cheng wouldn't dare to attack. Even Yin Xingwen would have to consider if he wanted to go against the Taishu Dao Court and Taishu Pill Association at the same time. Fighting wasn't allowed in the teleportation hall. However, the highest cultivation level in the teleportation hall was only Dao Actualization Divine Emperor. If a primordial Dao expert wanted to make a move here, the person in charge of the teleportation hall wouldn't dare to step forward and say anything other than to report this matter. Leng He's injuries had disappeared and his strength had returned. Even though he knew that he was no match for them, he did not hesitate to take out his magic treasure when someone threatened to kill him. Before the two Saint Emperors could even reach Leng He, Ning Cheng raised his hand and sent out a slap. Two blood mists exploded, and the two people didn't even have the ability to resist before Ning Cheng killed them. The Dao Essence Divine Emperor was stunned. What kind of power was this? He had killed two late-stage Dao transformation experts with one slap. Could he be a Dao integration expert? Dao friend, must you go against primal beginning Dao court for someone irrelevant? The Dao Essence Divine Emperor said as he retreated. He could tell that Ning Cheng was far stronger than him. Ning Cheng raised the jade strip in his hand, and spoke in a flat tone, "How can you say that it is irrelevant?" On the jade scroll, it was written that he was seeking help from Taishu Lu Dongsa. Do you know why President Lu asked me for help? Because he knows I'm his friend. After saying that, Ning Cheng took a step forward and sent out another slap. I know. This senior is Dao Lord Ning of Taishu Dao Court. Dao Lord Ning and President Lu are friends. Many people in the Great Change Realm know this. Yes, I know too. He is Dao Lord Ning. Dao Lord Ning carries a long spear on his back. It's him. I saw Dao Lord Ning from afar in the Great Change Realm's underground abyss. Discussions broke out around them, and they clearly confirmed Ning Cheng's identity. As for looking at him from afar, it was obvious. No one dared to use their spiritual consciousness to scan an expert like Ning Cheng. Even if they did, they wouldn't dare to look at him directly. Everyone in the Great Change Realm knew that Luying Dao Court's Dao Lord Jesse and the Dao Court's first protector, Chu Bai, had been killed by Ning Cheng. The current Luying Dao Court was no longer the Luying Dao Court of the past. You are Dao Lord Ning. The Dao Essence Divine Emperor panicked. If there was anyone who wasn't afraid of the Taishu Dao Court's Dao Lord, it had to be Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng didn't even fear Yin Xingwen, so what did the Taishu Dao Court's Dao Lord count for? You're right, I'm Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng raised his hand again and was about to slap him. Dao Lord Ning, you know the Dao Lord of my Taishu Dao Court. Please show mercy. The Dao Essence Divine Emperor cried out anxiously. Under the suppression of Ning Cheng's domain aura, he couldn't move at all. He had never encountered such a situation since he reached Dao Essence Divine Realm. Even in the face of a primordial chaos Divine Emperor, he could still resist. But in front of Ning Cheng, he couldn't even resist. No wonder Taishu Dao Court's Dao Lord Ning could ignore Yin Xingwen. His strength was simply too terrifying. Although the Dao Lord of the Taishu Dao Court had taken Ning Cheng into account, he definitely didn't care about Ning Cheng's terrifying strength. Ning Cheng stopped. I know the Dao Lord of the Taishu Dao Court. He remembered that he only had one familiar friend in the Taishu Dao Court, and that was Lu Dongsa. Who was this Dao Lord of the Taishu Dao Court? Leng He was completely stunned by the scene in front of him, and then he was ecstatic. He didn't expect to meet Ning Cheng, the Dao Lord of the Taishu Dao Court, in this place. This was simply a great joy. At this moment, Wei Qi wanted Ning Cheng to stop, but he obviously didn't want to see it. He hurriedly followed behind and shouted, Dao Lord Ning, the current Dao Lord of the Taishu Dao Court is called Zhu Chini. He was also from the Taishu Pill Association. This person is insidious and cunning. He roped in many people from the Pill Association, plotted against the Dao Lord of the Taishu Dao Court, and took control of the Taishu Dao Court. After that, he used the power of the Dao court to deal with Union Master Lu. Zhu Qinyi. Ning Cheng instantly remembered this name. Nian Yan's words to him were still ringing in his ears. Junior brother Ning, what I want to tell you is that the real first place of this 5 realms pill competition might not be you. His name is Zhu Qinyi, and he comes from the Taisu Dao realm. If I'm not wrong, he should be a primordial chaos pill saint, so, if Zhu Qinyi takes out all his strength to participate in this 5 realms pill competition, it will be difficult for you to beat him. It's not that your alchemy Dao is not as good as him, but your cultivation is weaker than him. This was the second time he heard Zhu Qinyi's name after Nian Yan. Nian Yan's words made him a little wary, but he didn't care much. After all, he didn't have much interaction with Zhu Qinyi. Now that Zhu Qinyi had become a Dao lord of the Taisu Dao court, he remembered Nian Yan's words. It seemed that Nian Yan's opinion was really good. It didn't take long for Zhu Qinyi to turn around. Ning Qing definitely wouldn't believe that Zhu Qinyi had become a Dao court Dao lord by chance. Thinking of this, Ning Qing no longer showed mercy. Divine essence blasted out, and this Dao essence divine emperor was directly smashed into pieces by Ning Qing. If someone else dared to make a move here, even if the people in the teleportation hall didn't dare to speak for the time being, they would immediately spread the news and experts would soon come. But Ning Cheng's name was resounding in both the Great Change Realm and the Great Essence Realm. How many people in the 5 Realms Void City's teleportation hall didn't know about Dao Lord Ning Cheng? This was an existence that even Realm Master Yin Xingwen feared. He was the powerhouse who directly sealed the demonic creatures in the Great Change Realm's underground abyss. This powerhouse killed a few ants in the teleportation hall, so who would dare to come forward and stop him? Not only did no one dare to stop Ning Cheng, but many cultivators also came forward to greet Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng nodded and said to Leng He, I'll go with you to the grand beginning now. How is Association Master Lu? Leng He quickly replied, reporting to Dao Lord Ning, I didn't see the Association Master. At that time, the Pill Association was divided into 2 groups because of the Dao Court's intervention. During the melee, my younger brother handed me this jade strip and asked me to send it to Dao Lord Ning in Grand Essence. Is your younger brother Ling Chen? Ning Chen recalled this Ling Chen. During the 5 Realms Pill competition, there was an alchemist named Ling Chen who also came from the Grand Beginning Realm. Leng He bowed and replied, yes, my younger brother is Ling Chen. While the two were talking, the teleportation array activated and swept up Ning Cheng and Leng He before disappearing. Since Ning Cheng wanted to use the teleportation array, the people in the teleportation hall naturally didn't dare to refuse. They didn't even ask Ning Cheng to pay with his spirit crystals. Ning Cheng also knew that fighting in the teleportation hall was a form of contempt for the teleportation hall. Since they didn't want his spirit crystals, he simply threw the 3 rings to the teleportation hall. The teleportation array between the Grand Beginning and the 5 Realms Void City was different from the Grand Essence Realm. The teleportation array in the Grand Beginning Realm was built on the periphery of the Grand Beginning Realm. After Ning Cheng and Leng He came out of the teleportation array, their spiritual consciousness could see the Grand Beginning Realm in the void. It was vast and boundless. With Ning Cheng's current strength, he could tell at a glance that the Grand Beginning Realm's heaven and earth laws weren't any worse than the Grand Essence Realms. Although the Grand Beginning Realm also had a Boundary Protection Grand Array, it was much worse than the Grand Essence Boundary Protection Grand Array he had arranged. When did the Grand Beginning Pill Association meet with an accident? Ning Cheng asked as he stepped out of the teleportation array. 3 days ago, the Pill Association's Deputy Association Master and several elders helped Zhu Qinyi at the same time and attacked the Association Master. Before Leng He finished speaking, Ning Cheng had already arrived at the entrance of the Grand Beginning Realm's Boundary Protection Grand Array. Stop! 2 Dao Transformation Divine Emperors stopped Ning Cheng and Leng He. Ning Cheng didn't even think about asking questions. He raised his hand and sent the 2 flying. The Grand Beginning Dao Court was controlled by Zhu Qinyi. Everyone here obviously belonged to Zhu Qinyi. You lead the way. Ning Cheng said to Leng He, who was in a daze. His spiritual consciousness was powerful, but it couldn't scan the entire Grand Beginning Realm. Not to mention now, even if he reached Tao integration, he probably wouldn't be able to do this. Yes. Leng He reacted and quickly stepped into the boundary protection grand array. What's the origin of this Zhu Qinyi? Why is he so powerful? Ning Qing asked behind Leng He. Leng He shook his head, I don't know. He seemed to have suddenly appeared. Before anyone could react, he seized the grand beginning Dao court and became the new Dao Lord. Chapter 1292. After a while, Leng He seemed to have thought of something and hurriedly said, right, his magical treasure is very powerful, it's a book. What book? Ning Qing asked in doubt. Tai Chi Human King Technique, Leng He blurted out. Tai Chi Human King Technique? Ning Qing suddenly remembered the remote beginning eternal heavenly art that he obtained from the northern king's mansion in the Jiao Yangtze. According to Min Husheng, the Dao Lord who had merged with the primordial world was known as Dao Lord Long Heaven. The cultivation technique he had obtained should be a branch of the Heaven Scroll of the formless cultivation technique, the long beginning heavenly secret art. The remote beginning eternal heaven technique was in his hands, and the Tai Chi Human King technique that Zhu Qinyi possessed was very likely the human scroll of the 7 invisible techniques. Ning Qing did not know which integration realm expert's cultivation technique belonged to. However, based on his conjecture of the book's title, the human scroll cultivation technique should have come from the great ultimate realm. After countless years, it was not strange for the human scroll to appear in the Grand Prime. When he was still outside the primal beginning realm, Ning Qing knew that the laws of heaven and earth in the primal beginning realm were broken. When he landed on the ground of the Grand Prime realm, he could feel that the Grand Prime realm was more damaged than he had imagined. Boom! Ning Qing didn't have the time to ask Leng Hedan's location when the space around him suddenly tore apart. Millions of soldiers from the Dao court surrounded the two of them. At a glance, they looked majestic and imposing, as if they couldn't see the end of it. Leng He was completely shocked by this huge array, but Ning Qing was actually very calm. This was just a hidden army array, it was nothing much. At the forefront of the grand array stood a black-robed man with an extraordinary bearing. This man had long hair tied up and stood in front of the millions of Dao court army. With the help of the Dao court army's imposing manner, he directly suppressed Ning Qing and Leng He. If Ning Qing wasn't strong enough, even Leng He would have been crushed by this force already even though he was a Dao actualization divine emperor. As soon as Ning Qing saw this black-robed man, he immediately recognized who he was, Zhu Qinyi. He was the alchemist who had fought on the same stage as him in the 5 Realms pill competition. Nian was right. This fellow had indeed concealed his strength back then. Not only in terms of alchemy, but even in terms of cultivation, he had concealed a lot. In Ning Cheng's view, Zhu Qinyi's cultivation was at least at the Dao integration realm. As soon as Zhu Qin saw Ning Qing appear, he showed a faint smile. Dao Lord Ning is a person who values friendship and loyalty. Sure enough, you came. I thought that Dao Lord Ning would have to wait for a while before coming. I didn't expect him to come to my primordial world so quickly. Impressive, impressive. Unfortunately, Dao Lord Ning's cultivation doesn't seem to have improved much. He hasn't even merged his Dao. When he had first met Ning Qing, he had only had the strength of a primordial Dao cultivator. Now, he was at the late-stage primordial chaos realm. In Zhu Qinyi's opinion, this kind of crazy advancement did not make much progress. Ning Cheng's eyebrows twitched slightly. He vaguely felt that Zhu Qinyi was not dealing with Lu Dongzi, but rather him, Ning Qing. So you're saying that you've been waiting for me? Association head Lu was also implicated because of me. Ning Qing asked in a calm tone. Zhu Qinyi chuckled and said unhurriedly, I can't say that I waited for you to come. Lu Dongzi's influence in the Elixir Association is too great, so I had to get rid of him. Also, the book he lent you was not bad. You know I love all kinds of books. Oh, why did you ask me to come here? You, Zhu Qinyi, are a Dao Lord of the Dao Court. If you want to see me, you can just bring the Dao Court army to the Great Simplicity Realm. Why go through so much trouble? Ning Qing said sarcastically. Zhu Qinyi did not care. We'll talk about the main purpose later. You should know that even if you are not afraid of ordinary early-stage Dao integration experts, I can easily kill you. As for bringing the Dao court army to the Great Simplicity realm, I don't want to trouble you. Secondly, I'm not as arrogant as Yin Xingwen. I know that your array Dao is terrifying. You can even trap tens of millions of Dao court army in the Great Change realm. My Dao court army is probably not enough to fill your teeth. Ning Qing did not continue talking nonsense. He raised his hand, and the creation divine spear appeared in his hand. He suspected that Zhu Qinyi had been possessed by a mighty figure. Even if the other party was at the Dao integration realm, Ning Qing was not afraid of him. He had even fought with Lu Saishi, who was at the creation realm. How could he be afraid of Zhu Qinyi, who was at the mid-stage Dao integration realm? Upon seeing that Ning Qing was about to make a move, Zhu Qinyi sneered. It seems that you won't give up until you're in a desperate situation. After he finished speaking, a simple and unadorned old book appeared above his head. Impressively, there were 5 large golden words floating above the ancient book, Tai Chi Human King Technique. As soon as this book appeared, Ning Qing was sure that the Tai Chi Human King Technique was the human scroll of the 7 invisible divine powers. The good fortune divine spear in his hand automatically swung out circle after circle of spear patterns. Ning Qing still spoke in a calm tone, Zhu Qinyi, if Union Master Lu suffers even the slightest injury, I will bury you in your Taichu Dao court. It will be the same even if you are the reincarnation of Chang Tian and have the human scroll of the 7 scrolls. Zhu Qinyi, who had been calm, suddenly changed his expression when he heard Ning Qing's words. Who the hell are you? Ning Qing had only guessed that Zhu Qinyi was one of the 5 Dao integration realm Dao lords. Since he had appeared in the Great Beginning realm, the Dharma treasure in his hand was the Tai Chi Human King Technique. If he was not Dao Lord Chang Tian, then he was a Dao integration realm Dao Lord of the Great Ultimate Realm. Even if he wasn't one of them, he definitely had some connection with them. Ning Qing didn't know who the Dao integration realm Dao Lord of the Great Ultimate Realm was. He could only guess that it was Dao Lord Chang Tian. I'm Dao Lord Ning Qing of the Taichu Dao Court. Zhu, take a look at the spear first. As he spoke, the creation divine spear in Ning Cheng's hand shot out thousands of spear runes. The first spear strike was the first of the 3 ages realm. The sunset was infinitely beautiful, but it was near dusk. Time and space stagnated at this moment. The poignant sunset intent realm and the dusk Dao runes covered the sky and earth. Hidden within them was a murderous spear intent. An ordinary person would have been immersed in such a poignant and beautiful Dao rune scene. Even if time and space did not stagnate, he wouldn't be able to feel the passage of time and space. In this Dao rune scene, one would be immersed in it without the use of external forces. The murderous spear intent became more and more condensed in the sunset's twilight, forming a majestic and boundless death aura at the fastest speed. Zhu Qinyi only paused in this scene for a moment before groaning. A trace of blood overflowed from the corner of his mouth. At the same time, the Tai Chi Human King Technique above his head suddenly opened to the first page. A vast and majestic aura of a king came suppressing Ning Cheng. It was as if Ning Cheng was facing a supreme pressure from the sky. The invisible void pressure directly fell on Ning Cheng's Dao Rune Spirit Technique. No matter what the sky was, no matter what the earth was, no matter what time was, no matter what space was, in the face of this vast pressure, one was just a subject. If the king wanted the subject to die, the subject had to die. If I, Zhu Qinyi, want Ning Qing to die, then you have to die. The Human King Spirit Technique, as long as you were a human, you would be suppressed and despised. What Zhu Qinyi displayed was the Human King Spirit Technique. The Human King Spirit Technique directly broke Ning Cheng's ages realm. Zhu Qinyi found that he had underestimated Ning Cheng, the Dao Lord of the Taichu Dao Court. Ning Cheng's ages realm almost made him fall into confusion. This kind of intense spirit technique wasn't any weaker than his Human King Technique. However, his Human King Technique wasn't just an intense spirit technique. It was a Dao Rune Spirit Technique, a spirit technique of the laws of heaven and earth. A faint sense of confusion came, and Ning Cheng's age's realm suddenly shattered. The violent pressure directly blasted on Ning Cheng's domain, and Ning Cheng felt his mind turn into a cloud of fog. He suddenly felt a sense of remorse and guilt. In the face of this sovereign spirit technique, he shouldn't have resisted. He should have prostrated and let it kill him. Gotcha. After a slight crack appeared in Ning Cheng's domain, he finally woke up in the face of the pressure of death. This was the Human King Dao Rune spirit technique. It was the same intense spirit technique, but it suppressed his age's realm. Ning Cheng snorted. At this time, he was almost 100% sure that Zhu Qinyi wasn't an ordinary Dao Integration Holy Emperor. An ordinary Dao Integration Holy Emperor, even with the Tai Chi Human King technique, shouldn't be able to suppress him to this extent. Zhu Qinyi must be an expert on the same level as Dao Lord Formless. If it wasn't Dao Lord Chang Tian, then it was the other three. The violent and majestic sovereign spirit technique blasted over, and the creation divine spear in Ning Cheng's hand swept out. The second age's realm, time flies like an arrow, time flies like a shuttle. The first age's realm was a poignant confusion, a kind of confusion about life. The second age's realm was a kind of passing of life. The stagnation of dusk suddenly disappeared, and time turned into a sharp arrow, quickly fading away. No matter how powerful a sovereign spirit technique was, as long as time passed, they would die one day. Kings, nobles, generals, and ministers, did they have the guts? Boom! Two violent Dao Rune auras blasted together, and the laws in the sky exploded. Waves of intense spirit technique and Dao Rune auras had already trapped the people with lower cultivation in the surroundings, making them unable to extricate themselves. Zhu Qinyi stared blankly at the crazy passage of time around the Tai Chi Human King technique. In this passage of time, he felt like he was rapidly aging. As time passed, his mentality aged. He was no longer the sovereign spirit technique that dominated everything, no longer the sovereign spirit technique that could control the life and death of others. In this rapid passage of time, he had aged. The moment this thought appeared, the majestic and powerful sovereign king's aura instantly weakened. In the end, it turned into a sigh. Boom! The creation divine spear blasted against the Tai Chi Human King technique, and the sovereign spirit technique's Dao Rune aura dissipated completely. The Dao Rune aura exploded again, turning the space where the two were fighting into a deep ravine. The violent Dao Rune nomological power backlashed against the Tai Chi Human King technique, and Zhu Qinyi's entire body was sent flying. At that moment, he heard the sound of his Dao Rune shattering, and his heart filled with fear. How could there be such a powerful primordial chaos sacred emperor? He knew that his Dao integration was completely different from ordinary Dao integration sacred emperors. How could such a powerful Dao integration sacred emperor lose to a late-stage primordial chaos sacred emperor? Primordial beginning Dao court army, all of you, kill this person. Zhu Qinyi no longer had that high and mighty sovereign spirit technique aura as he frantically issued orders to kill. Ning Cheng sneered. Zhu Qinyi was much stronger than ordinary Dao integration sacred emperors, but he was still just a Dao integration sacred emperor. If numbers could defeat everything, then he wouldn't have to cultivate like crazy. He could just return to the Great Essence Realm and continue to gather the Dao Court army. In the face of the primordial beginning Dao Court army, Ning Cheng didn't even take half a step back. He raised his hand and brought out a cyan arch bridge, the fourth Yellow Springs Bridge. Since they wanted to besiege him, then they could go to the Yellow Springs. Chapter 1293. The Dao runes on the blue stone bridge surged, and a yellow roaring river formed circles of nomological waves around Ning Cheng. As soon as the Yellow Springs Bridge appeared, a roaring aura swept the entire space. The billowing waves surged violently. As soon as the Yellow Springs Bridge appeared, not only did Zhu Qinyi's expression change, but the expressions of the Dao court army that had rushed up also changed drastically. There were not many cultivators who did not know about the Yellow Springs Bridge. Zhu Qinyi had seen the Seven Bridges' divine power. Given the power of the Yellow Springs Bridge, no matter how many Dao Court army soldiers went up, they would only be devoured by the Yellow Springs Dao runes of the Yellow Springs Bridge. Almost immediately, Zhu Qinyi shouted out, "Army of the primal beginning Dao court, retreat, retreat immediately." The Dao court army, who did not want to rush up and die, stopped charging towards Ning Cheng almost immediately after hearing Zhu Qinyi's shout and retreated one after another. Ning Cheng did not move. If he really wanted to kill these Dao court army, he could not retreat after he brought out the Yellow Springs Bridge. After he brought out the fourth Yellow Springs Bridge, the initiative was in his hands, not in the hands of the Dao court army, who could advance and retreat as they pleased. In a breath's time, the Dao court army retreated again. They came fast and left even faster. Leng He, who was standing behind Ning Cheng, had already broken out in a cold sweat. He only breathed a sigh of relief when the Taisher Dao court army retreated. At the same time, he believed that the rumors were true. Dao Lord Ning did have the powerful strength to contend with Dao integration experts. No wonder the Tai Dao court army had to return with grievances when they besieged the Grand Essence realm. Given Dao Lord Ning's strength, even if the Tai realm and the Taisher realm joined forces, it would be difficult for them to attack the Grand Essence realm. Leng He did not know that when the Tai Dao court army had besieged Tai Su, Ning Cheng had not advanced to primordial chaos, and his strength had been far weaker than it was now. Zhu Qinyi heaved a sigh of relief when he saw the Dao court army of the Taisher realm retreat safely. The Taisher realm was his foundation. Without it, he would be like a duckweed without roots. Given his strength, he naturally knew that Ning Cheng had shown mercy. If he had not shown mercy, the Dao court army of the primordial beginning realm would have suffered heavy losses to summon such a powerful fourth Yellow Springs Bridge. Dao Lord Ning, Zhu Qinyi, was in the wrong this time. If Dao Lord Ning doesn't mind, please come to my residence and have a seat of honor. When Zhu Qinyi realized that he wasn't Ning Cheng's opponent, he completely lowered his stance. Perhaps he could disregard the life and death of the Taisher Dao court army and charge forward, then with his assistance, he could inflict heavy damage on Ning Cheng. But what good would that do? As long as they couldn't kill Ning Cheng, one day, the Grand Essence Realm's Dao court army would suppress the Grand Beginning Realm. If he used the laws of the Primal Beginning Realm to deal with Ning Cheng, he would have a better chance. It was just that Zhu Qinyi didn't want to do this unless it was absolutely necessary. It didn't matter if he was passing by the Grand Beginning Realm. More importantly, he was not passing by the Grand Beginning Realm, but he wanted to establish himself here. Even if they could not kill Ning Cheng, making friends with Ning Cheng was the best way. Once he recovered his strength, killing Ning Cheng would be the same as killing an ant, so why should he be anxious? Ning Cheng looked at Zhu Qinyi and said in an indifferent tone, "I'll say it again. If Union Master Lu suffers even the slightest injury, I will bury you with him." Ning Cheng didn't show any politeness towards people like Zhu Qinyi. Zhu Qinyi felt unhappy, but his strength wasn't as good as Ning Cheng's. He could only say, "Dao Lord Ning, rest assured. Union Master Lu is a guest of the Taisher Dao court. This Shu would like to thank Dao Lord Ning for showing mercy and not slaughtering my Dao court army." Ning Cheng didn't answer at all. He showed mercy because the Dao court army didn't rush to his Yellow Springs Bridge. Also, for the sake of Lu Dongzi, he had no intention of slaughtering the Taisher Dao court army. No matter which one it was, it had nothing to do with Zhu Qinyi. Zhu Qinyi's cave abode was in the first sacred city of Taisher, Everlasting Heaven Sacred Dao City. The Taisher Dao court in Everlasting Heaven Sacred Dao City was extremely luxurious and majestic, but Zhu Qinyi's cave abode looked very unremarkable. Apart from a few defensive array formations, even the spirit chi wasn't very rich. Ning Cheng knew what was going on. If Zhu Qinyi was really a realm-merging expert like Dao Lord Formless, then the richness of the spirit chi was secondary to him. Comprehending and restoring his strength was probably the most important thing. "Dao Lord Zhu, where is Union Master Lu?" Standing in Zhu Qinyi's cave abode, Ning Cheng didn't even have the intention to sit down. After Zhu Qinyi motioned for the maid to pour a cup of tea for Ning Cheng and Leng he tried to slow down his tone and said, "Dao Lord Ning, rest assured. Since I, Zhu Qinyi, have become a Dao Lord of the Taisher Dao court, I won't go back on my words. Dao Lord Ning, please take a seat." Union Master Lu will be here soon. Ning Qing hesitated for a moment before sitting down. He wasn't afraid of Zhu Qinyi's tricks. In terms of strength, he was stronger than Zhu Qinyi. In terms of array Dao, he was also stronger than Zhu Qinyi. Otherwise, he wouldn't have followed Zhu Qinyi to this place. Dao Lord Ning, how did you know that I'm Dao Lord Chang Tian? Previously, Zhu Qinyi wanted to forcibly search Ning Cheng's spiritual soul memories. But now, he could only ask. It turned out that this fellow really was Dao Lord Chang Tian. Ning Qing felt a little surprised. It was just a guess, but he didn't expect to guess correctly. Ning Qing said calmly, "It's not surprising that I know you're Dao Lord Chang Tian. Dao Lord Formless told me about it." Zhu Qinyi, who had calmed down, suddenly stood up again after hearing Dao Lord Formless. His expression didn't change, but he looked at Ning Qing cautiously. "Dao Lord Ning, Shaowen didn't die. Is he still alive?" Ning Qing felt a little strange about Zhu Qinyi's expression. He could still hear the fear of Dao Lord Formless Shaowen from the other party's tone. "Why can't Shaowen be alive?" Ning Qing asked in confusion. Zhu Qinyi took in a deep breath and said word by word, "Because Shaowen sneak attacked me and stole my Taisha Eternal Heaven technique." Ning Qing frowned. He didn't believe that Shaowen would steal Zhu Qinyi's things. However, he did find the Taisha Eternal Heaven technique at the place where Shaowen died. It was hard to explain. "I heard that the 5 of you worked together to create the formless cultivation method. How could Shaowen steal your cultivation method? If that's the case, where did you get your Tai Chi Human King technique?" Ning Qing spoke the words left behind by Shaowen. Zhu Qinyi remained silent for a while before speaking slowly. "I also snatched the Tai Chi Human King technique, but Kong Zai's death wasn't my doing." This Zhu Qinyi truly wasn't a good person. Fortunately, this fellow dared to do what he wanted and even admitted that he had snatched the Tai Chi Human King technique. Ning Qing felt disdain towards Zhu Qinyi in his heart, but he still asked with a calm expression, "I heard that the 5 of you found the hidden innate plane domain of the 5 grand realms and joined forces to break the planar barrier. That's how you obtained the formless cultivation method." The formless cultivation method is divided into 7 volumes. How are these 7 volumes distributed? Of course, I'm not very familiar with the 5 of you. Can you tell me all at once? Zhu Qinyi had something to ask of Ning Qing. Moreover, Ning Qing didn't ask about anything significant. Therefore, he simply spoke up, "You're right." After opening the void barrier, everyone obtained a lump of Xiantian Dao Charm's golden light. I obtained the Heaven Scroll, Tai Yi Shaowen obtained the Devil Scroll and the Dao Scroll, Tai Chu Bei Shu obtained the Immortal Scroll and the Buddha Scroll, Tai Su Shinyun obtained the Earth Scroll, and Tai Chi Kong Zai obtained the Human Scroll. I know that your Dao name is Dao Lord Eternal Heaven, Tai Yi Shaowen's Dao name is Dao Lord Formless, and Tai Su Shinyun's Dao name is Grand Dao Lord. What are the Dao names of Tai Chu and Tai Chi? Ning Qing continued to ask. What he really cared about was the whereabouts of Dao Lord Earth. Zhu Qinyi didn't hide anything. Tai Chu Bei Shu's Dao name is Tai Yi, and Tai Chi Kong Zai's Dao name is Human King. In fact, Tai Su Shinyun has another Dao name, Dao Lord Earth Yun. Oh, where is Tai Su Shinyun now? Did he fall? Ning Qing immediately asked. This was the question he wanted to ask the most. Zhu Qinyi looked at Ning Qing calmly and said, "I know this question, but I won't tell you now. I want to trade 2 things with you. First, I heard that you got Gung soil and Sure soil. I don't want much, just give me half of these 2 kinds of soil." Ning Qing instantly understood Zhu Qinyi's thoughts. Just like him, this fellow wanted to repair the primordial world. However, if he wanted to trade his Gung soil and Sure soil, he could only dream about it. He didn't have enough of these 2 kinds of soil, so how could he trade them to Zhu Qinyi? "I know that these 2 kinds of primordial soil are important to you, but Shin Yun's whereabouts are more important to you. Shin Yun and I are different. My strength has almost fallen to less than 1/1000th of what it used to be. Shin Yun's strength can be fully restored at any time. I also want to tell you that once Xinyun's strength is restored, those people in the heavens beyond of heaven and earth can't be compared to him. Zhu Chenyi's tone was calm, but there was a hint of threat in it. Ning Qing felt disdain in his heart. He didn't know if Xinyun's strength would fully recover, but he was sure that Zhu Chenyi was exaggerating. This fellow said that Xinyun's strength wasn't even 1/1000th of what it used to be. Ning Cheng would never believe it. Zhu Chenyi saw Ning Cheng's disdain and spoke again. Do you know what the first thing Xinyun will do after he recovers his strength? It's to kill you, Dao Lord Grand Essence. He will never let the Grand Essence realm fall into the hands of others because he is the Dao Lord of the Grand Essence realm. Ning Cheng believed this sentence. Didn't this Zhu Chenyi kill the Dao Lord of the primordial beginning Dao court as soon as he regained his strength and then take over? Just when Ning Cheng was about to speak, a woman came in with a person. Ning Cheng immediately stood up and saw that the person who came in was Lu Dongsa. Lu Dongsa didn't look injured, but Ning Cheng could feel the anger and sadness in his heart. Ning Cheng understood what was going on immediately. Zhu Chenyi had killed many of Lu Dongsa's friends. Perhaps for an ancient powerhouse like Zhu Chenyi, he was the only one at the center of the world. Everyone else served him, and even if they died, it would be a worthy death. Ning Cheng understood Lu Dongsa very well. Lu Dongsa was a very sentimental person. If Zhu Chenyi really killed his friends, Lu Dongsa would never let it go. Ning Cheng didn't even need to persuade him. What's more, he didn't intend to persuade him. Chapter 1294. Brother Ning, thank you. If you hadn't come here, I, Lu Dongsa, wouldn't have been able to come out. But this person killed countless of my brothers and friends. If I don't kill this person, I would have let down those friends who died for me. Lu Dongsa pointed at Zhu Chenyi and spoke with a strong killing intent. Zhu Chenyi said calmly, on the path of Dao cultivation, there are bound to be ups and downs. I was also plotted against in the past, and now I'm back again. If I had to consider every single thing, I would have too many worries. How could I make progress then? In fact, Zhu Chenyi didn't care about Lu Dongsa. Although Lu Dongsa and Ning Cheng were both at the late-stage primordial chaos realm, Ning Cheng was much stronger than Lu Dongsa. If it weren't for Ning Cheng, he wouldn't have bothered to reason with Lu Dongsa. After saying this, Zhu Chenyi looked at Ning Cheng. Dao Lord Ning, you know Dao Lord Invisible. You must know a little about the power of that Grand Dao Lord. They are all real third-step experts. If you don't know where he is, wait until you return to the Great Simplicity Realm. No, even if you don't return to the Great Simplicity Realm, I'm afraid he won't let you go easily. Given your current strength, the gap between you and Xinyun is too big. Lu Dongsa also calmed down. He knew that even if he wanted to kill Zhu Chenyi, this wasn't the right time. Listening to Zhu Chenyi's words, it seemed that Zhu Chenyi still had something on Ning Cheng. In fact, even if Zhu Chenyi didn't have anything on Ning Cheng, he and Ning Cheng wouldn't be able to do anything to Zhu Chenyi. Just when Lu Dongsa wanted to tell Ning Cheng to leave this place, Ning Cheng spoke up. Union Master Lu is my friend. His words are my words. I'm not afraid of threats from others. Not to mention you, Dao Lord Chang Tian, who hasn't recovered yet. Even if a Grand Dao Lord who has fully recovered his strength was here, I would still say the same thing. Zhu Chenyi showed a slight smile and didn't comment. Lu Dongsa said in a deep voice, I won't say anything else now. You stole my things. Return them to me first. Zhu Chenyi frowned. Union Master Lu, I've already given you your ring. I didn't lose a single crystal stone. I even gave you some more. Lu Dongsa sneered, I didn't lose any crystals, but my interspatial vegetation book is gone. In addition, the piece of stabilizing soil that I found for Brother Ning has also disappeared. Zhu Chenyi's expression turned cold. The steadying soil was discovered by my people first, and only then did you send people to snatch it. You led the Elixir Association's experts to kill so many of my subordinates. Why can't I use your book as compensation? He, Zhu Chenyi, was a Dao monarch of the Upper Valley's 5 Grand Realms. Even if Ning Cheng wasn't any weaker than him right now, it was only for now. In the depths of his heart, he had never spoken to Ning Cheng on an equal footing with him. When Ning Cheng heard that the universe vegetation had disappeared, he immediately became furious. When he heard stabilizing soil again, he was even more furious. Previously, when Lu Dongzi said that his friend had been killed by Zhu Qinyi had only said that it was a small matter. Now, he was saying that Lu Dongzi had killed one of his subordinates and demanded compensation from Lu Dongzi. If Ning Cheng could endure all of this, then he would not be Ning Cheng. When Zhu Qinyi said those words, the good fortune divine spear behind Ning Cheng directly shot out. The second stage of flowing time, time flies like an arrow, time flies like a shuttle. At the same time as he cast the flowing time spirit technique, Ning Cheng immediately called out to Leng He and Lu Dongzi. Without Ning Cheng's call, Lu Dongzi also couldn't help but bring out his weapon almost at the same time as Ning Cheng. Zhu Qinyi's expression changed. He was used to being strong, but at this time, he remembered that his strength had not yet recovered and was still slightly inferior to Ning Cheng. The flowing time rushed towards him, and the Dao charm blasted down, causing his mentality to change instantly. Zhu Qinyi knew that he couldn't block Ning Cheng's second stage of flowing time with his current strength. However, since they had already torn all pretense, it would be useless to say anything else. Activating the Tai Chi Human King art, it turned into a strange ripple that blocked Ning Cheng's arrow-like light shadow. Not to mention Zhu Qinyi, even Lu Dongzi next to him knew that this resistance was only temporary. Once Ning Cheng's arrow-like light shadow penetrated the strange ripple, Ning Cheng's spirit technique would completely lock Zhu Qinyi down. Ning Cheng also felt very satisfied in his heart. After comprehending the third stage of the flowing time realm, his second stage of the flowing time realm had grown even more powerful. Ning Cheng would never wait for the arrow-like shadow to pass through Zhu Qinyi's Human King technique's Dao charm ripples. Therefore, he immediately condensed his spirit essence and spiritual consciousness. He wanted to use his spiritual sense explosion at the same time that Zhu Qinyi used his spirit ability. Even if he couldn't kill Zhu Qinyi, he would definitely make him flustered. At this time, if he shot the five-colored star splitter arrow or used the order-breaking finger, even if Zhu Qinyi didn't die, he would still lose a layer of skin. Boom! Ning Cheng had not yet brought out his spiritual consciousness explosion when a terrifying roar erupted in the surrounding space. Even the ground under his feet started to tremble. His second stage of the aging realm instantly shattered. The laws of heaven and earth around him became chaotic and the space around him was no longer the same as before. No matter how Ning Cheng's domain stretched out, no matter how Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness forcibly penetrated this space, there was no movement. He was like Sun Wukong who had fallen into the palm of the Buddha. No matter what method he used, it would be useless. Ning Cheng's expression changed drastically. Was this a law-breaking spirit technique? He clearly didn't use any law-breaking spirit technique, so why did this happen? No, this was Zhu Qinyi's law-breaking spirit technique. Did Zhu Qinyi also know an law-breaking spirit technique? The next moment, Ning Cheng could clearly feel that this technique was much more powerful than his law-breaking spirit technique. Ning Cheng, you forced me to do this. Even if I have to consume a lot of energy, I will keep you in my grand prime. Zhu Qinyi's cold voice sounded out, making people feel uncomfortable. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness couldn't see anything, and even his spirit technique seemed to have been completely isolated. Even the air in this place didn't belong to him. The moment Zhu Qinyi said those words, Ning Cheng vaguely thought of something. Brother Ning Cheng, we can't leave. There are no laws here at all, or rather, the laws of heaven and earth here are no longer something we can use. Lu Dongzi felt guilty in his heart. Ning Cheng came to save him, but he ended up dragging Ning Cheng into this mess. Although he didn't know what spirit technique this was, he could vaguely feel that this spirit technique wasn't a simple spirit technique. Lu Dongzi's strength still depended on the laws of heaven and earth around him. Without the laws of heaven and earth, any spirit technique he used would be useless. It was just like an electric lamp without electricity. Ning Cheng slowed down his tone and said to Lu Dongzi and Leng He, both of you, come closer to me. I understand what's going on. Although Ningqing hadn't touched the convergence realm, he vaguely touched the shadow of the third step when he looked back and comprehended it. This powerful restriction of the laws of heaven and earth made it impossible for them to use any lore-related spirit techniques. Even their Tao charms were sealed. It definitely wasn't a spirit technique that could be cultivated, but a spirit technique of a realm. The Grand Primordial Realm had merged with Tao Lord Chang Tian. From this, it could be seen that Tao Lord Chang Tian controlled everything in the Grand Primordial Realm. All of this included the laws and Tao charms of the Grand Primordial Realm. Ningqing even suspected that Tao Lord Chang Tian could extract or increase the laws of heaven and earth in the entire Grand Primordial Realm. If this was the case, then once the Grand Primordial Realm merged with Chang Tian, it would be equivalent to Tao Lord Chang Tian rearing all the people in the Grand Primordial Realm. Merging with a realm was a cultivator's pursuit of a supreme realm, and it was also a cruel deprivation of the living beings in this realm. Merging with a realm would make the people in the realm stronger and feel good. However, every move and smile of the people in this realm would be seen by a merging realm expert. What was the difference between this and captivity? It was even worse than captivity. It didn't matter how Chang Tian came back, whether it was rebirth or possession. After all, he was a Tao Lord of the Grand Primordial Realm. The Tao charms of the past were still there. Even if his current strength was far inferior to that of the past, he could still use the laws of heaven and earth in the Grand Primordial Realm to control Ningqing. In other words, this was Tao Lord Chang Tian's territory. I'm afraid this is Zhu Qinyi's ultimate spirit technique, which shattered all the laws of heaven and earth, Lu Dongzi said in a deep voice. He and Leng He had already approached Ningqing. Ningqing replied calmly, "It's not that the laws of heaven and earth don't exist, but they have become Zhu Qinyi's own laws." As expected, none of these Tao Lords are simple. Zhu Qinyi is a merging realm expert. Lu Dongzi took in a breath of cold air. He had never heard of a merging realm expert even in legends. Ningqing nodded. Yes, he was indeed a merging realm expert, but he isn't now. Therefore, he can't trap us now. The absence of laws is also a kind of law. Ningqing didn't understand this sentence now. Back when he cultivated the law-breaking spirit technique in the land of broken laws, he had already comprehended this point. Otherwise, his law-breaking spirit technique wouldn't have reached the grand completion stage. Lu Dongzi was still thinking about Ningqing's words, the absence of laws is also a kind of law, when Ningqing shot out a finger. Law-breaking finger. A finger to shatter the laws of heaven and earth, a finger to tear through all Tao charms. Zhu Qinyi's merging realm was very strong, but Zhu Qinyi wasn't in the merging realm, at least not yet. The Grand Primordial Realm wasn't the Grand Primordial Realm of the past, but a broken Grand Primordial Realm. As Ningqing's finger blasted out, the originally lawless space of heaven and earth suddenly gave off a series of cracking sounds. Zhu Qinyi's laws shattered. Although everything was still unclear, it was no longer as helpless as before. Even Leng He felt a trace of law aura, allowing him to cast his spirit technique. Boom! A horrifying crack appeared in front of the three. This crack directly tore through the grand array protecting array of the grand beginning realm and extended into the void. In the distance, Zhu Qinyi, who had almost exhausted all his energy, felt even more sluggish. He didn't expect that Ningqing could still break through his realm, even if his realm was far inferior to 1 in a trillion. But his realm was a true realm. How was this possible? At this time, Zhu Qinyi couldn't care less about how many years he would have to sleep. The Tao charm started burning wildly, and the Tao charm aura of the laws merged with the laws of heaven and earth of the grand beginning realm once again before blasting towards Ningqing. Chapter 1295. A powerful spatial binding aura emerged. Ningqing, who originally wanted to turn around and shoot an arrow at Zhu Qinyi, raised his hand to pick up Leng He, while simultaneously calling out to Lu Dongzi, "Let's go." Ningqing did not dare to resist this terrifying spatial binding aura. He was afraid that if he delayed any longer, he would be completely locked up by this space. Even his law-breaking finger wouldn't be able to break through it. Lu Dongzi didn't need Ningqing to say anything. Just as Ning Qing escaped through the gap created by the law-breaking finger, he immediately followed behind Ning Qing. He had cultivated to the late-stage primordial chaos and was a primordial chaos alchemy saint. If he had not grasped this opportunity, he would not have achieved what he had today. Just as the three of them rushed out of the primal beginning world, the protective array formation of the primal beginning world suddenly made a cracking sound. This time, even Ning Chang's spiritual sense couldn't penetrate it. "What's going on?" Lu Dongzi asked in surprise. Ning Cheng looked at the completely closed barrier protecting Grand Array and said with some uncertainty, "Tao Lord Eternal Heaven used to be a Tao Lord of the Grand Beginning Realm. Even if his strength has fallen, he still has the ability to merge with the Grand Beginning Realm. I haven't reached that realm yet, so I can't be sure what's going on. My guess is that this is a technique of a convergence realm expert, borrowing the power of their own realm to attack. Association Master Lu, let's go to my Grand Essence realm first." Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out and felt that he couldn't do anything to Zhu Qinyi's primal beginning world. If he had to attack Zhu Qinyi, he would probably destroy the primal beginning realm. With his current ability, it would be difficult for him to destroy the primordial world. Also, there were too many innocent people in the primal beginning realm. Killing countless innocent people for Zhu Qinyi was too immoral. Zhu Qinyi could do such a thing, but he, Ning Cheng, could not do such a thing. At the same time, in a misty world outside the endless void, a beautiful woman in a purple dress, standing on a green lotus throne, suddenly shouted and struck out with an endless aura of Tao runes. The countless array flags around the golden lotus pond beneath her feet danced rapidly under the Tao runes that she had released. At this moment, the space began to churn and the rumbling sound seemed to resound in every corner of the vast void. Wave after wave of powerful Daoist rhyme aura permeated the endless void like raging waves. Ning Cheng, who was heading towards the Grand Essence realm with Lu Dongzi, stood inside the starry sky wheel and looked at the endless void in horror. He was too familiar with this powerful aura. It was the powerhouse who had wanted to kill An Yi, and was also the powerhouse who had tried to kill him but failed. Similarly, he was also familiar with the rumbling sounds of the void. When he was at Buzhou Peak, he had personally witnessed the formation of the Good Fortune Indestructible Axe. When the Good Fortune Indestructible Axe was formed, the booming Tao runes were exactly the same as this. The rumbling grew louder and louder. At this moment, one could clearly feel the terrifying rumbling of the Tao no matter which corner of the void one was in. To Master, the Had Master, and Spirit. To, the Tao Yu, said. Tao runes and Qing, to Qing, and said, Qing, said. Yang, Cheng, to Cheng, said, Cheng, said, and, Feng, she said, and said. Not. After learning about reincarnation, her first thought was to cultivate and find the reincarnated Ning Cheng in the future. The purple-robed woman said, "You're lucky. You don't have to do those things. I'm also lucky." I could feel the aura of a good fortune treasure the moment the indestructible axe took shape. Yu Qing didn't understand what it meant. Only the purple-robed woman on the Cyan Lotus platform understood. She originally planned to let Yu Qing continue to suppress the positional planes of the two pillars. She didn't expect that before she even started to suppress it, she would understand the aura of a good fortune treasure from the indestructible axe. The two pillars shook slowly at this moment. Every time the two pillars shook, countless planets in low-level positional planes would explode due to the law shattering. But the purple-robed woman didn't seem to notice it at all and kept making Tao rune hand gestures. Powerful great Tao runes and the aura of her lotus throne magic treasure spread out, permeating every corner of the void. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness forcibly passed through the interface. After passing through several interfaces, he saw countless planets shattering and countless lives falling. Then, he saw two shaky pillars that reached into the sky. He had seen these two pillars before and knew that they were treasures used to suppress the laws of heaven and earth. When An Yi said that she would suppress the pillars for that woman, Ning Qing didn't care too much about it. If such a treasure could be taken away, it wouldn't have waited until now. Ning Qing didn't expect that woman to take away the two pillars. Now that the pillars hadn't been taken away, countless planets began to shatter and countless lives fell. Once the pillars were taken away, what would the consequences be for the entire positional plane and interface? Ning Qing didn't dare to imagine it. Indeed, the consequences wouldn't affect him, but what if he was in a low-level interface? Although he wasn't in a low-level interface now, he still had many friends there. This selfish scum. Ning Qing cursed. In the cultivation world, there were many selfish people. But this was the first time he saw someone as selfish as this woman. Maybe there were people as selfish as her, but those people didn't have the ability to cultivate to her level. Ning Qing had once read such a sentence on earth. The greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. In the endless cultivation world, the greater the ability, the greater the destruction and killing. In the eyes of such people, other people were just ants, and life and death had nothing to do with them. Boom! Feng Xian, who was still in seclusion in the Great Change Realm, suddenly spurted out a mouthful of blood essence. His ring exploded inexplicably. What was going on? Feng Xian even thought that someone had plotted against him. But then he knew that it wasn't someone plotting against him. The ring that exploded was just a temporary backup, mainly because there was a broken lotus petal of the green lotus of good fortune in the ring. The reason why he put this lotus petal in the temporary backup ring was to take it out when he traded with Yin Xingwen. Because too many things had happened in the Great Change Realm recently, Yin Xingwen hadn't had time to discuss with him about going to the heavens beyond of heaven and earth to find the Feng clan's phoenix true blood. Therefore, this lotus petal had always been with him. When his ring shattered, other things would explode due to space compression, but the lotus petal of good fortune would never do that. But the fact was that the lotus petal of good fortune had disappeared. In the space of his seclusion array formation, there were still some spatial fluctuations. Feng Xian had cultivated for countless years, so he naturally knew what was going on. A peerless powerhouse had snatched the lotus petal of the green lotus of good fortune from his ring across the endless void. The roar in the vast universe before most likely had something to do with this. Thinking of this, Feng Xian didn't dare to stay in seclusion anymore. The Feng clan's phoenix bloodline was indeed important, but his life was even more important. Besides, now that he no longer had the lotus petal of the green lotus of good fortune, how could he ask Yin Xingwen for help? Yan Xishuang looked at the messy room sluggishly. Her clothes had completely disappeared. Dozens of cuts appeared on her white body due to the Dao charm, making her look terrifying. If it weren't for her body forging, the explosion of the Dao charm would have crushed her to pieces. Even so, she still suffered a severe injury. The green lotus of good fortune, suspended in front of her and refined by her, had disappeared without a trace. Someone took it away. After a long time, Yan Xishuang murmured to herself, still in disbelief. The lotus petal of the green lotus of good fortune was her most precious weapon. Every day, besides cultivating, she would refine the lotus petal of the green lotus of good fortune. But at this time, the lotus petal of the green lotus of good fortune had been snatched away so easily. Not to mention resisting, she didn't even know who had taken it away. What's going on? Leng He and Lu Dongsa also felt the roar of the void Dao charm and looked at Ning Cheng with some uncertainty. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness kept an eye on the two sky pillars. He wanted to stop it, but he knew his own abilities. Facing the owner of the void handprint, he didn't even have the qualifications to stop it. But at this moment, Ning Cheng slowly breathed a sigh of relief. The shaking sky pillars had finally stabilized. From the looks of it, that powerhouse still couldn't take away the two sky pillars. According to the void Dao charm aura he felt before, it was likely that someone had used the sky pillars to penetrate the entire universe and wanted to perfect their own good fortune treasure. Back when the good fortune indestructible axe was perfected, it also had this kind of Dao aura. The good fortune indestructible axe had just been perfected. Although there were still a few fragments, it would definitely not be completed again in such a short period of time. The good fortune mysterious yellow bead was with him, and he had already perfected the good fortune mysterious yellow bead. There were only the jade butterfly of creation and the golden page of creation. Oh right, there was also the green lotus of creation. When the good fortune indestructible axe was perfected, he felt that Taoist purple heaven might be the owner of the good fortune jade butterfly. Since that was the case, the jade butterfly of fortune probably didn't need to be perfected. In that case, there were only the golden page of creation and the green lotus of creation. Come, let's hurry back. Ning Cheng just wanted to return to the Grand Essence realm as soon as possible. Without strength, that powerhouse would eventually find the Grand Essence realm one day. Besides, he also wanted to see Yan Xishuang. Moreover, he knew that Yan Xishuang possessed a lotus petal fragment of the good fortune azure lotus. If her green lotus had disappeared, then the owner of the green lotus of creation must have been perfecting the Dharma treasure. As expected, the sky pillar is not something that I can take away with my abilities. When the sky pillar stopped shaking, the purple-robed woman in the cloudy and misty realm muttered to herself with some disappointment. Just as her voice fell, two cyan shadows flew over from the void. She raised her hand and grabbed the two shadows. But the next moment, her expression changed drastically, and she stared at the two lotus petals in her hand in disbelief. How could this be? Where's the other petal? Where did the other petal go? Who was it? Who left me the last petal of the green lotus? A ferocious expression appeared on her face, making her flawless and peerlessly beautiful face look a little twisted. Chapter 1296. As one of the three sacred sects of the Grand Essence realm, the seven-star sacred shrine had a very high status. Moreover, the sect master of the seven-star sacred shrine, Han Qianwei, was currently in seclusion to comprehend the Tao fusion realm. Moreover, in recent years, the seven-star sacred shrine's status in the Grand Essence realm had risen even more. The main reason was not sect leader Han Qianwei, who was in seclusion, but vice-sect leader Mu Yuankong. Mu Yuankong was just a deputy sect master in the seven-star sacred shrine. However, he had a higher identity. That is, he was one of the 10 pillars of the Grand Essence Tao court. More importantly, the Tao lord of the Taisu Tao court, Ning Cheng, valued him very much. He even placed him on the same level as the first court pillar Li Feng and the Elixir Association. Because of Ning Cheng's attention, Mu Yuankong didn't spend much time in the seven-star sacred shrine. He spent most of his time in Heaven Essence Sacred City, in charge of the Tao court army. Moreover, the cultivation resources provided by Heaven Essence Sacred City were far superior compared to the sections. Mu Yuankong also believed that Ning Cheng had a bright future ahead of him. Following behind Ning Cheng, the Tao lord of the Grand Essence Tao court, was the right choice. The seven-star sacred shrine sect master went into seclusion, and the vice-sect master was absent all year round. Even so, the seven-star sacred shrine was still thriving. Today, the seven-star sacred shrine felt a bit strange. The seven-star sacred shrine sect protecting Grand Array had loosened, as if someone had cracked open the sect protecting Grand Array with their bare hands. The spatial fluctuations in the entire sect were so great that even the laws of heaven and earth became unstable. At the same time, the rumbling sounds of Tao charm filled the air, which made the people from the seven-star sacred shrine even more nervous. A group of elders and some peak masters of the seven-star sacred shrine had gathered in front of the array entrance of the barrier protecting Grand Array. Elder Fan, the spatial fluctuations of my seven-star sacred shrine are so intense. Could someone have secretly tampered with the barrier protecting Grand Array? The one who asked was a deacon who guarded the array heart. He was well aware of the fluctuations of the barrier protecting Grand Array. The one being questioned was a white-haired old man, the seven-star sacred shrine sect protector Elder Fan Mu. In the past, when Ning Cheng entered the Grand Essence mystic realm on behalf of the seven-star sacred shrine, he was the one who led the team. Even though Fan Mu was in the primordial Tao realm, he didn't know what was going on in the face of such intense spatial fluctuations. He thought for a long time before saying, "I'm not sure about this. I'll immediately send a message to Sect Master Far Void and ask him what's going on." Boom! Fan Mu didn't even have time to send out a message when an extremely powerful Tao charm erupted from the seven-star sacred shrine's main peak, the seven-star peak. A grand Tao charm that could almost be touched by spiritual consciousness fluctuated in the air. A middle-aged man standing in the crowd immediately cried out in surprise, "The sect master has come out of seclusion. Let's hurry up and welcome him." After saying that, the middle-aged man was the first to rush towards the main peak. Several disciples of the seven-star sacred shrine also followed behind, but the rest of the people hesitated. Many of them looked at Fan Mu. Fan Mu knew what was going on. The seven-star sacred shrine's sect master was Han Qianwei, while the deputy sect master was Mu Yuankong. However, the sect master had always looked down on Ning Cheng, the Tao lord of the Taisu Tao court. He didn't even bother to participate in Ning Cheng's first sect meeting. Because of this, he had never come out of seclusion. He didn't even know how strong Ning Cheng's status and strength had become. Deputy Sect Master Mu Yuankong fully supported Ning Cheng, which in fact went against the original intentions of Sect Master Han Qianwei. No matter what Deputy Sect Master Mu Yuankong had in mind, Fan Mu knew that Ning Cheng, the Grand Essence Realm's Tao Lord, wasn't a simple person. Moreover, Tao Lord Ning Cheng's establishment of the Grand Essence Tao Court would only bring benefits to everyone in the Grand Essence realm. Tao Lord Ning Cheng himself also had formidable strength, even comparable to Tao perfection experts. Even the Grand Change Tao Court's army had attacked the Grand Essence realm several times, but they were repelled under Tao Lord Ning's leadership. Regardless of whether the sect master succeeded in Tao perfection or not, he couldn't fight against Tao Lord Ning. Just look at the several Tao perfection experts in the Grand Essence realm, all of them supported Tao Lord Ning Cheng. So what if the sect master was strong? Whether it was public or private, he, Fan Mu, would always support Deputy Sect Master Mu Yuankong. Fan Mu only hesitated for a moment before speaking up. Since the sect master has come out, we naturally have to welcome him. As for the fluctuations of the Realm Protection Grand Array, let's talk about it later. Fan Mu's cultivation wasn't the highest, but his status in the seven-star sacred shrine wasn't bad. With Fan Mu taking the lead, the rest naturally didn't hesitate anymore and followed the sect master to the main peak where he went into seclusion. Han Qian didn't suddenly come out, not because he succeeded in Tao perfection, but because the violent traces of Tao charm had directly broken through his seven-star sacred shrine's Realm Protection Grand Array. The seven-star sacred shrine's Realm Protection Grand Array was connected to his mind. Therefore, he naturally knew that someone had forcibly broken through the Realm Protection Grand Array. Even if he didn't want to come out, he had no choice but to do so. Unfortunately, as long as he had a little more time, he might have been able to comprehend the second step. Even if he couldn't reach Tao perfection, he would still be an expert infinitely close to it. Han Qian hadn't even opened the cave residence's restrictions, so he felt a little puzzled. What was going on? Even the weakest person would know about the fluctuations of Tao charm before he came out of seclusion. Knowing that the sect master had come out of seclusion, he would naturally rush to the main peak as soon as possible. So why was it so quiet outside his main peak's grand array? Fortunately, at this time, more than a dozen people had already arrived outside the main peak's grand array. Before Han Qian opened the array, a middle-aged man came in first and bowed. Disciple Xiang Junying congratulates Sect Master for coming out of seclusion. Congratulations to Sect Master for reaching the next level. Han Qian didn't nod. He saw Elder Fan Mu and the others also come over. He didn't see Deputy Sect Master Mu Yuankong. Not only did he not see the Deputy Sect Master, but the other elders and peak masters of the seven-star sacred shrine also didn't come over. Although Xiang Junying wasn't his direct disciple, she had always been very respectful to him. This time, he was also the first one to come out of seclusion. In the future, he could consider accepting Xiang Junying into the seven-star peak. Is Deputy Sect Master Mu not in the sect? Han Qian asked casually. He knew that even if Mu Yuankong had some thoughts about him, he wouldn't dare not come out on the big day he came out of seclusion. Xiang Junying quickly replying to Sect Master, Deputy Sect Master Mu is now one of the 10 court pillars of the Grand Essence Tao Court. The Tao Court has a lot of things to do, so he probably can't come back. Grand Essence Tao Court? Han Qian froze slightly. A Dao court was established in the Grand Essence realm. He knew about Ning Chang's sect meeting, and it was also at that time that he went into seclusion. He didn't expect that Ning Chang would use this sect meeting to establish the Grand Essence Dao court. Ning Chang's establishment of the Grand Essence Dao court had already been announced to the entire Grand Essence realm. Therefore, Han Qian's seclusion array formation naturally wouldn't allow outside voices to come in. As such, he didn't know about this matter. Later, he never participated in the two wars between the Grand Essence Dao court and the Grand Change realm. Because the Grand Essence realm had always been the winner, coupled with Mu Yuankong's intention not to disturb Han Qian's seclusion, Han Qian didn't know that the Grand Essence realm had changed so much until now. Han Qian only froze for a moment, but he immediately felt angry in his heart. Mu Yuankong didn't even tell him about the establishment of the Grand Essence realm's Dao court. He even dared to hide that he had become a court pillar of the Grand Essence Dao court. This was simply despicable. No wonder when he came out of seclusion, not many peak masters came over. It turned out that they didn't even put him in their eyes. These people probably thought that Mu Yuankong would become the sect master of the 7-star sacred shrine and that he, Han Qian, was just a puppet. Summon all the peak masters, deacons, and elders of the 7-star sacred shrine. Immediately hold a sect meeting. Han Qian couldn't hold back his anger and directly ordered Xiang Junying. If there wasn't any major event, the 7-star sacred shrine's sect meeting would only be held once every few years. Once the sect meeting was held, even the peak masters and elders who were far away from the sect had to rush back in time. Mu Yuankong had just returned to the 7-star sacred shrine when he received a message about the sect meeting. Originally, he came back because of the rumbling Dao charm that filled every corner. He also wanted to summon the elders and peak masters for a meeting. He didn't expect that the sect master would come out of seclusion and also hold a sect meeting. Mu Yuankong guessed that Han Qian wouldn't dare to do anything to him, but he felt that he shouldn't return to the sect for the time being. Even if the sect master hadn't reached Dao unification, he, Mu Yuankong, was far from being sect master Han Qian's opponent. If Han Qian didn't get angry and killed him, even if Dao Lord Ning came back to avenge him, it would be too late. Since Yuankong is back, come in. I just came out of seclusion and am holding a sect meeting. You came back at the right time. Mu Yuankong was still hesitating when Han Qian's voice reached his ears. At this time, even if Mu Yuankong didn't want to go in, he could only bite the bullet and go in. The 7-star sacred shrine's sect hall was rarely so lively. Dozens of peak masters, hundreds of deacons, and elders were gathered together. Sitting at the head of the table was Han Qian, who had just come out of seclusion. Sitting on his left was Mu Yuankong, who had just returned to the sect. I've been in seclusion on the main peak because I'm trying to break through to the Dao integration realm. The heavy responsibilities of the sect have fallen on the shoulders of the peak masters, deacons, and elders. This is my dereliction of duty as the sect master. Fortunately, I didn't come out empty-handed. Although I haven't completely stepped into the Dao integration realm, I've already taken a step in. Han Qian's tone was calm, but his powerful aura told everyone that he was now a half-step Dao integration expert. In the Grand Essence realm, except for a few Dao integration experts, half-step Dao integration experts were the peak experts. If he had the opportunity to go to a realm with complete heaven and earth laws, he could easily step into the Dao integration realm. Han Qian didn't believe that after he said he was half-step Dao integration, he would definitely suppress those peak masters, elders, and the others who didn't even greet him when he came out of seclusion. What made Han Qian not angry was that apart from a few 7-star peak elders and deacons who echoed his words, most of them were very calm and didn't show the shock he had imagined. Mu Yuankong said in a timely manner, Sect Master Han of the 7-star sacred shrine is a happy event. In any case, the strength of the 7-star sacred shrine has also increased greatly. Congratulations, Sect Master Han. Congratulations, Sect Master Han. As Mu Yuankong's voice fell, almost 80% of the peak masters and elders in the hall stood up and echoed in unison. Compared to before Han Qian's announcement, this aura was much stronger. Han Qian didn't show the slightest bit of joy. In fact, he was so angry that he almost used his divine ability to kill Mu Yuankong. How many years had he been in seclusion? Mu Yuankong actually dared to make him a figurehead. Now that he had clearly come out of seclusion and his strength was also at the half-step Tao integration realm, the peak masters and elders of the 7-star sacred shrine still dared to not give him face. How could he endure this kind of anger? Sect Master, there is a cultivator surnamed Ning outside asking to see you. At this moment, the disciple guarding the array formation suddenly rushed into the sect hall to report. Chapter 1297. Are you blind? Can't you see that we're having a sect meeting? Han Qianwei vented all his anger towards Mu Yuankong on this unlucky cultivator. Mu Yuankong, who was initially fearful of Han Qianwei, calmed down when he saw so many people supporting him. Moreover, Han Qianwei did not succeed in Tao integration. Even if Han Qianwei did not attack him, he would not be able to kill him. Mu Yuankong suddenly said, the Tao monarch of our Taisu Tao court also has the surname Ning. Since it's a cultivator with the surname Ning, he might be related to the Tao monarch. Let him in. Hearing this, Han Qianwei took a deep breath and once again held back the anger in his heart. Deputy Sect Master Yuankong is right. If he is sent by the Tao monarch, it would be too neglectful if we don't let him in. Go and invite Tao friend Ning in. Yes. The disciple broke out in cold sweat and stepped back. He swore in his heart that after this matter was over, he would rather join the Tao court army than live in fear here. The hall also fell into silence because of this interlude. Han Qianwei knew that it was not realistic for him to deal with Mu Yuankong here. In a short time, he figured out what he should do. The first step was not to deal with Mu Yuankong, but to figure out who the Tao monarch of the Taisu Tao court was and then gain the trust of the Tao monarch. With his half-step Tao integration strength, he had a much greater advantage than Mu Yuankong in gaining the trust of the Tao monarch of the Taisu Tao court. As long as he gained the trust of the Tao monarch of the Taisu Tao court, dealing with Mu Yuankong would be as easy as killing an ant. It was a good thing for him that something like this had happened. At least he would know who was on his side. Before the silence in the sect's main hall could be broken, the disciple who had just reported the news walked in with a woman. Ning Wu greets Sect Master Han, Sect Master Mu, elders, peak masters. The woman looked ordinary, but her expression and actions were very natural. She spoke in a neither arrogant nor humble manner. Han Qianwei frowned slightly. He had never seen this woman before. Just as he was about to speak, he heard a voice transmission, Sect Master Han, I'm afraid you don't know your situation. Ning Cheng, whom you looked down on back then, is now a Tao monarch of the Taisu Tao court. Furthermore, all of the Tao integration stage powerful beings in the Grand Essence realm followed his lead. Even 9 Revolution Sacred Tao Pon's Tao Ancestor I Ching, River Luo Sacred Sect's Blood Shadow, Void Star Sect's Kang Shushan, and others supported him. During your seclusion, Mu Yuankong had already gained Tao monarch Ning Cheng's trust. Your words of disdain towards Ning Cheng, even someone like me who doesn't care about the matters of the Taisu Tao court has heard about it, let alone a Tao lord like Ning Cheng. As long as Ning Cheng returns, it will be your doomsday. Han Qianwei's expression changed, but not because of the woman's threat. It was because Ning Wu, who seemed to be at the primordial Tao level, had sent a voice transmission to him, but he could not even detect the fluctuations. What kind of ability was this? Tao Yuan was definitely faked. This Ning Wu was much stronger than him. What shocked him even more was that Ning Cheng, who he viewed as nothing more than an ant, had actually become a Tao lord. If not for someone mentioning the name Ning Cheng, he would have already forgotten about it. Before Han Qian could speak, a voice transmission sounded in his ears once more, you don't have to be surprised. It's best if you act normally. Moreover, let me tell you that Ning Cheng has already returned and is currently at the Taisu mountain. I came here to save you. If you believe me, then find an excuse to leave this place with me. Otherwise, you will die. Of course, I didn't save you for no reason. It's because we have a common enemy. As for the reason, if you believe me, I will tell you. If you don't believe me, then I will leave immediately. By the way, let me remind you that Ning Cheng's current strength can easily kill early-stage Dao integration experts. If I'm not wrong, Sect Master Han is still far from reaching Dao integration. Who are you? Why haven't I seen you before? Han Qianwei did not speak, so Mu Yuankong, who stood on the side, asked. Ning Wu smiled slightly, bowed and said, My master is Sacred Emperor Jiu Wang, an old friend of Sect Master Han. My master held a spirit fruit convention and invited some old friends. She sent a disciple to invite Sect Master Han. Han Qianwei suddenly stood up in excitement. Are you Dao friend Jiu's disciple? How is brother Jiu? Ning Wu once again spoke with respect, replying to Sect Master Han, My master is very well. After she came out of seclusion, she felt something and asked her disciple to invite an old friend for a gathering. Good, good, good. Han Qianwei repeated good a few times before saying, I just came out of seclusion, and the barrier in my Dao heart is on the verge of breaking. Now that an old friend invited me, I will go with you now. After saying that, Han Qianwei turned to Mu Yuankong and said eagerly, Yuankong, I'm going out for a while. The sect will have to trouble you and the peak masters and elders. Mu Yuankong watched Han Qianwei leave the sect hall in a hurry with Ning Wu, feeling puzzled. Who was Sacred Emperor Jiu Wang? Why had he never heard of him? However, it didn't seem fake. Han Qianwei also felt very confused before, but after Ning Wu said, Jiu Wang, he suddenly remembered. It was impossible for Ning Wu to send a voice transmission to Han Qianwei without him noticing it. He was a primordial chaos expert, and no one could send a voice transmission in front of him without him noticing. How many Dao integration experts were there in the entire Grand Essence realm? Even if there were Dao integration experts, how could they come here to invite a primordial chaos sect master? As for why Han Qianwei suddenly didn't compete with him, Mu Yuankong could understand. With so many people on his side, Han Qianwei wasn't an idiot. 100 million miles away from the 7-star sacred sect, Han Qianwei stopped. Senior called this junior out. This junior still doesn't know where senior comes from. Ning Wu suddenly wiped her face, and a beautiful face appeared in front of Han Qianwei. Han Qianwei looked at this pretty face in doubt. He felt a little familiar, but he couldn't remember who the other party was. However, Han Qianwei knew that the woman in front of him was far stronger than him. She was definitely a Dao integration expert. He hadn't reached Dao integration, but it didn't mean that he couldn't see that the other party was a Dao integration expert. My name is Ao Wu, and I come from the Grand Essence Demon Vein. Before the woman could finish speaking, Han Qianwei cautiously stepped aside and said in disbelief, You're Dao Lord Ao Wu of the Grand Essence Demon Vein? Why was the Grand Essence Demon Vein so powerful? In addition to the many powerful demon cultivators, there was also a Dao integration sacred emperor, Dao Lord Ao Wu. Dao Lord Ao Wu nodded. Yes, I'm Dao Lord Ao Wu. You don't have to worry. If I wanted to kill you, I would have done it a long time ago. You should have just come out of seclusion. Otherwise, you wouldn't not know that the Grand Essence Demon Vein had been breached by the Grand Essence Dao Court's army. What's left is only a corner of the Demon Vein. Before Han Qianwei had time to inquire about all kinds of information, Ao Wu went to the 7-star sacred sect. At this moment, when he heard that the Grand Essence Dao Court's army could even breach the Grand Essence Demon Vein, he immediately took in a cold breath. In other words, Dao Lord Ao Wu wasn't a match for the Grand Essence Dao Court. He, Han Qianwei, probably couldn't even be considered an ant. Han Qianwei, who finally came back to his senses, suddenly felt some regret. He should have gone to Ning Cheng's sect meeting back then. I'm just a small primordial chaos sacred emperor. I can't even keep my position as sect master. I wonder why Dao Lord is looking for me. After figuring out Ning Cheng's strength, Han Qianwei was already thinking about how to bow down to the Grand Essence Dao Court. Ao Wu said with a calm voice, I hope you can help me deal with Ning Cheng. Han Qianwei smiled self-deprecatingly, Dao Lord Ao Wu really thinks too highly of me. Even with Dao Lord's strength, you can't stop Ning Cheng's Grand Essence Dao Court's army. I, Han Qianwei, haven't even closed my Dao. I'm afraid I'll be killed before I can even make a move. Ao Wu seemed to know what Han Qianwei was thinking and said slowly, if Sect Master Han wants to surrender to the Grand Essence Dao Court, then you're wrong. The reason why Ning Qing didn't go to the 7-star sacred sect to kill you is because he didn't have the time. He only returned to the Grand Essence realm recently. With Mu Yuankong's words beside Ning Cheng, even if Ning Qing didn't kill you, you wouldn't be able to do anything. I'm sure you know what happened when you came out of seclusion and held the sect meeting. After I announced my surname was Ning, Mu Yuankong immediately slapped your face and asked me to enter the hall to meet him. Do you think that Mu Yuankong would still tolerate you? So what if you're stronger than Mu Yuankong? Do you dare to touch him? Ao Wu's words showed that her spiritual consciousness could observe everything. Han Qianwei suddenly frowned. He knew that Ao Wu was exaggerating, but the latter half of what she said was true. He was originally the sect master of the 3 sacred sects. If he was deprived of his position as sect master, then his status in the Grand Essence Dao Court would be lower than deputy sect master Mu Yuankong. He feared that his Dao heart would be severely affected, and cracks might even appear in it. Moreover, he was about to reach Dao integration. Such a crack was absolutely unacceptable. Ao Wu in front of him was also very scheming. Knowing his state of mind at that time, she deliberately announced her surname as Ning to let Mu Yuankong slap his face. Could it be that if I join forces with Dao Lord Ao Wu, I can take back everything? Han Qianwei asked calmly. If Dao Lord Ao Wu said yes, then he would pretend to agree first and then find a way to leave the Grand Essence realm. Dao Lord Ao Wu wasn't an opponent of the Grand Essence Dao Court. Only an idiot would believe that he would join and risk his life. No, not join forces with me, but join the Grand Essence Dao Court and work for it. Ao Wu said something that left Han Qianwei dumbfounded. Han Qianwei looked at Ao Wu in confusion. She just said that if he joined the Grand Essence Dao Court, Ning Cheng wouldn't tolerate him. Now, she said that she wanted him to join the Dao Court. She said 2 sentences. Without waiting for Han Qianwei to ask, Ao Wu continued, of course, not now, but after reaching Dao integration. Han Qianwei said in a self-deprecating manner, ever since I reached the perfected primordial chaos realm, I have gone into seclusion countless times. I don't know how many years have passed in between, but I still couldn't step into the Dao integration realm. Dao Lord Ao Wu thinks too highly of me. Ao Wu said indifferently, with your current insights, it would be extremely difficult for you to enter seclusion and reach Dao integration. But as long as you assist a Grand Dao Lord, Dao integration would be as easy as breathing. After you reach Dao integration, you can then join the Grand Essence Dao Court. In the future, after the Grand Essence realm is restored, it is not impossible for Lord Di Yun to make you a Dao Lord of the Grand Essence Dao Court. Chapter 1298. Grand Dao Monarch. As a sect master of a sacred sect, Han Qianwei was not ignorant of the 5 grand realms. He vaguely recalled the matter of the Dao Lords of the 5 realms. However, he still couldn't quite believe it. How ancient were the Dao Lords of the 5 realms? Dao Lord Proud Dance stared at Han Qianwei. Yes, Dao Lord Earth. The Dao Lord who had fused with the Grand Essence realm had mastered the Grand Essence Great Earth art. Do you think it's difficult for an integration realm expert to help you achieve the Dao integration? Han Qianwei said in a quavering voice, a Dao Lord of the 3rd step. He's still alive. At this point, Han Qianwei knew that he would not be able to escape even without Dao Lord Earth. Ao Wu told him about this. If he didn't surrender, there was only one word for him, death. Therefore, he hoped that Dao Lord Ao Wu was telling the truth and that Dao Lord Earth was still around. Pledging allegiance to Dao Lord Proud Dance and pledging allegiance to an ancient Dao Lord were 2 completely different things. Proud Dance said arrogantly, Dao Lords in the universe world are immortal and indestructible. How could they not be present? He was only experiencing the Dao integration 4th decay of the 5 heavenly blights. Once Dao Lord passes the 4th heavenly blight, Ning City will only be an ant in your eyes. I, Han Qianwei, swear on my Tao that I will forever serve Tao Monarch Earth. I am willing to be the disciple of the great Tao Monarch. Han Qianwei had already made up his mind when Tao Monarch Proud Dance said that the great Tao Monarch was going through his fourth heavenly blight. In the face of such a powerful ancient saint emperor, what else could he be waiting for? If he could become the disciple of an expert in the grand simplicity realm, a grand Tao Lord, he, Han Qianwei, would be considered to have struck gold. Moreover, how could he not agree? Since he had no other choice, he might as well be straightforward. Perhaps in the future, he, Han Qianwei, would really become a Tao monarch of the Taisu Tao court. He might not believe it if others told him about it, but if an Earth Tao monarch of Unity Realm said it, he would completely believe it. Ao Wu nodded her head and said with satisfaction, since that's the case, you can come with me to meet the Tao monarch. Once you become a Tao Lord's disciple, you'll easily succeed in the Tao merge. After that, you will return to the Grand Essence Tao Court and assist Tao Lord Ning in repairing the Grand Essence Realm and developing your forces. Mu Yuankong, who had just taken control of the 7-star sacred shrine, didn't even have time to celebrate when he received news of Ning Cheng's arrival. Tao Lord Ning. Mu Yuankong immediately led everyone to welcome him. Ning Cheng's current identity was not just a Tao Lord of the Taisu Tao Court. Mu Yuankong knew very well that Ning Cheng was most likely the strongest person in the Grand Essence realm right now. Ning Cheng patted Mu Yuankong's shoulder, you did a good job. You contributed a lot to the Taisu Tao Court becoming what it is today. I'm here to see junior sister Yen. I wonder if she's in the sect. Here. I'll bring the Tao Lord there. Mu Yuankong hurriedly said. He suddenly felt that his luck was very good. Even if Han Qian hadn't suddenly made things difficult for him, he wouldn't have been in any trouble. Because even he didn't expect that Tao Court's Tao Lord Ning Cheng would arrive as soon as Han Qianwei left. Mu Yuankong also took the initiative to leave after bringing Ning Cheng to the entrance of Yan Xishuang's secluded cave. Ning Cheng tried to sense it but couldn't detect any Tao charm aura from Yan Xishuang's insights. Only then did he activate the restrictions at the entrance of Yan Xishuang's cave. In just a few moments, the cave's restrictions opened, and Yan Xishuang looked at Ning Cheng in surprise. She didn't expect Ning Cheng to take the initiative to find her. She and Ning Cheng had known each other during Ning Cheng's most ordinary times. They even fought together in the Grand Essence Mystic Realm. Later, as Ning Cheng's status grew higher and higher, and his strength grew stronger and stronger, she and Ning Cheng gradually stopped interacting. Someone took away your good fortune Azure Lotus's lotus petal fragment? Ning Cheng asked as soon as he entered Yan Xishuang's cave. As soon as he saw Yan Xishuang's situation, he immediately understood what was going on. Yan Xishuang's injuries hadn't healed, and there were even law of space fragments in the room. Most likely, someone had taken away the lotus petal fragment. How did you know? Yan Xishuang looked at Ning Cheng in surprise. She hadn't told anyone about it except herself. When Ning Cheng arrived, he didn't even ask her anything before learning that someone had taken away her good fortune Azure Lotus fragment. Sure enough, it was the good fortune Azure Lotus, Ning Cheng finally understood. Most likely, the owner of the good fortune Azure Lotus learned the method of the good fortune indestructible axe and used the heaven and earth Tao to recall her weapon fragment. It's a long story, but I'll give you this healing pill first. Ning Cheng said and took out a medicinal pill and handed it to Yan Xishuang. Yan Xishuang was in the Tao sculpting realm, so without his medicinal pill, it would take at least a few years for her to fully recover. Thank you. Yan Xishuang and Ning Cheng had already known each other for a long time, so she didn't refuse. She took Ning Cheng's medicinal pill and swallowed it directly. What are your plans? Are you going to continue your seclusion? Although Ning Cheng spoke to Yan Xishuang, he felt extremely anxious in his heart. The person with the good fortune Azure Lotus was most likely the woman who suppressed An Yi. Whether it was An Yi's words or his own intuition, he felt that there was no mistake. If he didn't guess wrong, this woman was not only powerful, but also extremely cruel. She could crush countless interfaces and planets with just a lift of her hand without any psychological burden. Now that she wanted to repair the good fortune azure lotus, her strength would definitely rise to a new level. If he didn't work hard to improve his cultivation, even with the mysterious yellow bead, he would most likely die under this woman's hands. With this woman's cruelty, not to mention his friends and relatives in the Grand Essence Mountain, even the entire Grand Essence realm would be buried with this woman. Even the entire Grand Essence realm might end up buried with this woman. Yan Xishuang looked up and saw that someone had snatched her good fortune azure lotus's lotus petals from that space. I had been refining my good fortune azure lotus, but someone snatched it away before I could finish refining it. Now that it's useless for me to go into seclusion, I'm going to the void to gain experience. Ning Qing nodded and didn't try to dissuade Yan Xishuang. Every holy emperor who could become a powerhouse couldn't achieve it through seclusion. They had to go out and experience life and death situations. He took out a flying sword and handed it to Yan Xishuang. This is a void messenger flying sword I refined. If you need my help, just bring out this flying sword. Thank you, senior apprentice brother Ning. Yan Xishuang put away the flying sword and secretly decided that if she could reach the Tao in the future, she would definitely come back to help Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng had always been the one helping her. Ning Cheng smiled, "You're welcome. We were friends even before we reached Tao sculpting. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have been implicated." Yan Xishuang immediately recalled the process of obtaining the good fortune azure lotus petal. Then, she thought about Ning Cheng rescuing her when she didn't wear the inch gauze. Before she reached Tao sculpting, this matter didn't mean anything to her at all. She only had the Tao in her heart, and everything else was nothingness. But at this moment, when she recalled that scene, she couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed. Seeing Yan Xishuang's neck turning red, Ning Cheng immediately understood what was going on. "Junior apprentice Sister Yan, I'm leaving. I'll see you later." Ning Cheng didn't plan to stay in the Grand Essence realm for long. He returned to the Grand Essence Mountain to accompany Luofei and the others for half a year before preparing to head to the mysterious Yellow Heavens beyond. Luofei and the others also needed to cultivate, but Ning Cheng knew that he had to improve his strength as soon as possible. It would be best if he could reach Tao integration. Even if he reached Tao integration, he might not be an opponent for that woman. The mysterious Yellow Heavens beyond's heaven and earth laws were more complete than the Grand Essence realm, but Luofei and the others hadn't reached the second step. Cultivating in the Grand Essence realm was not only safer but also faster. Now that he was preparing to reach Tao integration, the mysterious fairy ancient clan's growth rings had no effect on him. Therefore, he could only look for opportunities outside. Li Feng knew that Ning Cheng shouldered the heavy responsibility of repairing the Grand Essence realm. Therefore, he and several court pillars wholeheartedly took charge of the Grand Essence Tao court and strived to not let Ning Cheng get distracted. Even several Tao integration experts in the Grand Essence realm fully supported Ning Cheng and the Grand Essence Tao court because Ning Cheng wanted to repair the Grand Essence realm. Although Ning Cheng didn't need to worry about the Grand Essence Tao court, Ning Cheng still had to go to the Grand Essence Tao court and say hello to Li Feng and the others before leaving the Grand Essence realm. This time, he was going to heavens beyond. In addition to managing a territory for the Grand Essence Tao court that could stand tall in the void, he also wanted to find the other types of chaotic soil that could repair the Great Essence realm in heavens beyond. More importantly, Ning Cheng also wanted to go to the void to gain experience. If he didn't reach the Tao integration realm, he wouldn't be able to guarantee anything. In addition to reaching Tao integration, he also wanted to find Sung Wei in the mysterious Yellow Heavens beyond. He had already been to 4 of the 5 great realms, but he hadn't heard any news about Sung Wei so far. If Sung Wei didn't go to the 5 great realms, then he could only find news about him in the mysterious Yellow Heavens beyond. There were many planes adjacent to the mysterious Yellow Heavens beyond, so it was normal for Sung Wei not to be in the 5 great realms. This time, Ning Cheng also brought Lu Dongsa and Li with him. When Lu Dongsa heard that Ning Cheng wanted to go to the mysterious Yellow Heavens beyond, he immediately decided to go with Ning Cheng. The old man didn't want to follow Ning Cheng to the mysterious Yellow Heavens beyond, but Ning Cheng needed someone to look after the place. Therefore, the old man could only reluctantly go with Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng had just walked with the three of them outside the Heaven Essence Sacred City's Grand Essence Dao Court when Li Feng and the others came to greet them. After everyone greeted each other, Li Feng immediately said, Dao Monarch, the sect master of the 7-star sacred shrine, Han Qianwei, didn't come to visit. He said that he didn't know about the establishment of the Grand Essence Dao Court during his seclusion and didn't contribute to the Grand Essence Dao Court. Therefore, he felt very scared and came to ask for forgiveness. At the same time, he is willing to serve the Grand Essence Dao Court and Dao Monarch. I arranged for him to stay in the guest hall so that he can accompany him. Li Feng and Ning Cheng had a close relationship. Generally, he would tell Ning Cheng about such things. Ning Cheng frowned slightly. He didn't want to do anything to Han Qianwei. In fact, he didn't really like Han Qianwei. Otherwise, he wouldn't have helped Mu Yuankong. Ning Cheng also knew that Han Qianwei was unhappy with him. But if that was the case, why would he serve him? Besides, his Grand Essence Dao Court didn't need a primordial chaos holy emperor to serve him. Although the Grand Essence Dao Court didn't have many primordial chaos holy emperors, it didn't lack them either. If he accepted Han Qianwei, what would happen to Mu Yuankong? Just when Ning Cheng wanted to speak, Li Feng whispered again, Han Qianwei succeeded in Dao unification. He's now a real Dao unification powerhouse. He succeeded in Dao unification. In the Grand Essence realm? Ning Cheng looked at Li Feng in surprise. It wasn't that Dao unification couldn't be achieved in the Grand Essence realm, but the Grand Essence realm's heaven and earth laws were broken. It was too difficult to achieve Dao unification. If Han Qianwei was really such a genius, he should have achieved Dao unification a long time ago. He wouldn't have waited until today to achieve Dao unification. Chapter 1299. I'll go see him. When Ning Cheng heard that Han Qianwei had reached Dao integration, he immediately decided to meet him. A Dao integration holy emperor was considered a powerhouse even in heavens beyond. The number of Dao integration powerhouses in the Grand Essence realm could be counted on one hand. Regardless of whether Han Qianwei truly wanted to help the Grand Essence Dao Court or not, he had to pay attention to a Dao integration powerhouse. Greetings, Dao Lord Ning. As soon as Ning Cheng and Li Feng entered the guest room, Han Qianwei stood up and bowed to Ning Cheng. Sect Master Han doesn't have to be so polite, please sit down. After Ning Cheng politely returned the greeting, he motioned for Han Qianwei to sit down. Han Qianwei was tall and thin, with a yellow face and a wide forehead, which made him look quite dignified. With Dao runes flowing around his body, Ning Cheng could tell that Han Qianwei was a Dao integration powerhouse. In terms of cultivation, he was a level higher than Li Feng. The only thing missing was that Han Qianwei's Dao law was still a bit sluggish and imperfect. From this, it could be seen that Han Qianwei had indeed reached Dao integration in the Grand Essence realm. Otherwise, his Dao law would have been more rounded after reaching Dao integration. Han Qianwei didn't sit down immediately but bowed again and said, this Han didn't know that Sect Master Ning held a sect meeting that day to establish the Grand Essence Dao Court and protect my Grand Essence Sacred Realm. Please forgive me for my negligence. This time, I came to serve the Dao Court and am willing to open the way for Dao Lord. Ning Cheng waited for Han Qianwei to finish speaking and sat down before saying, thank you, Sect Master Han. We are all doing this for the Grand Essence Dao Court and the Grand Essence Realm. Han Qianwei didn't understand Ning Cheng's meaning. That is, he didn't serve him but the Grand Essence Dao Court. However, he didn't care and said, Dao Lord Ning established the Dao Court and saved my Grand Essence realm from danger. It's a pity that I was in seclusion at the time and couldn't help at all. It's a shame. Ning Cheng spoke a few more polite words and suddenly asked, I heard that Sect Master Han hadn't reached Dao integration when you came out half a year ago. I didn't expect Sect Master Han to succeed in Dao integration after half a year. You should know that the Grand Essence Realm's heaven law is incomplete, making Dao integration extremely difficult. Sect Master Han reaching Dao integration is truly admirable. I'm also facing the Dao integration stage, so I'd like to consult Sect Leader Han. Ning Cheng cupped his fists and spoke in an inquiring tone. He had some doubts in his heart. How could Han Qian reach Tao unification in just half a year? Moreover, it was in the Grand Essence realm. Han Qianwei's face revealed a tinge of sorrow, as if he was once again immersed in the Tao integration realm. After a long time, he said, I was startled awake by the spatial fluctuations, so I came out of seclusion. In fact, I knew very well that even if I didn't come out of seclusion, it would probably be like fishing for the moon in the water if I wanted to enter seclusion and attain Tao integration. At that time, I was in a very bad state of mind, and I was even angry at Yuan Kong for making me a mere figurehead. I even had the thought of taking revenge on Yuan Kong, sigh. Ning Qing felt surprised in his heart. He already knew about these things, but he did not expect that Han Qianwei would not hide anything from him. Later, my old friend came out of seclusion and invited me to a gathering. I felt a bit depressed, but I also missed my old friend. Out of sight, out of mind, I left the 7-star sacred shrine. After chatting with my old friend for a few days, I simply gave up on everything. Tai Su did not conform to the Tao, and I, Han Qianwei, was not the only saint emperor. But I never thought that my state of mind would suddenly become enlightened, and I comprehended the Tao intent of the Grand Tao, allowing me to step into a new realm. Han Qianwei spoke until here, and his entire aura seemed a bit different. In order to succeed in attaining Tao integration, I went into seclusion for countless years, but I still couldn't make any headway. I didn't expect that after coming out of seclusion, I would give up everything and go to a gathering with my old friend. Unexpectedly, I had an epiphany and reached the Tao integration realm. Only then did I understand that when you can't get it, giving up is the real path. Ning Qing also felt moved when he heard these words. Many of his spirit techniques and Grand Tao focused on the state of mind, and Han Qianwei's epiphany was the essence of the state of mind. It might not be suitable for everyone, but it was definitely the essence of the Grand Tao. Many thanks, Sect Master Han. These are indeed the words of true knowledge. Ning Qing stood up and cupped his fists in gratitude. Only a powerhouse like him, who had vaguely comprehended the Tao integration realm, understood the importance of Han Qianwei's words. If Han Qianwei could even comprehend this, it was not impossible for him to suddenly reach the Tao integration realm. Tao Lord Ning, you're too kind. It's my honor to discuss the Tao with Tao Lord Ning here, Han Qianwei replied immediately. However, his heart couldn't calm down. The great Tao Lord was just too vast and boundless. Compared to Ning Qing in front of him, it was a great honor for him to attach himself to a great Tao Lord. Ning Qing didn't doubt his words at all, so he wasn't surprised. That was because what he had said was true. He had indeed comprehended the Tao integration realm after giving up everything. These were all given to him by the great Tao Lord. After he met the great Tao Lord only let him stand on the Grand Essence Earth's secret art to gain some insights. After he stood on the Grand Essence Earth's secret art, he felt a majestic Tao rune voice in the depths of his heart. If he couldn't obtain it, then he should give up on it. With the help of this Tao rune voice in the depths of his heart, he gave up everything without any scruples. His Tao force instantly fused, and he comprehended a new realm. When he opened his eyes, his grand Tao began to fuse. Tao Lord Proud Dance wasn't wrong at all. Tao Lord Earth easily helped him succeed in Tao integration. He didn't use any evil methods and only relied on perfecting his own Tao heart to achieve Tao integration. Before he left, the great Tao Lord only said one sentence to him: don't hide the process of you comprehending the Tao integration realm to Ning Qing. He will naturally believe you. Now it seemed that it was true. Ning Qing didn't doubt his words at all and even thanked him for his words. Next, he had to help Ning Qing repair the entire Grand Essence realm and secretly cultivate his own forces. I'm about to leave Grand Essence. With Sect Master Han's help, I believe the Grand Essence Tao Court will become more prosperous. Ning Qing said sincerely. No matter what Han Qianwei's thoughts were, he definitely didn't lie about comprehending the Tao integration realm. Han Qianwei quickly said, I heard that Tao Lord wants to repair the Grand Essence realm. I didn't contribute much before, so I'm willing to contribute to the repair of the Grand Essence realm. Ning Cheng wanted to repair the Grand Essence Realm, but he still lacked a few kinds of chaotic soil. Now that Han Qianwei offered to help, Ning Cheng naturally wouldn't refuse. He simply let Han Qianwei set up a new department in the Grand Essence Dao Court, specifically responsible for the collection of repair materials for the Grand Essence Realm. For Han Qianwei, this was equivalent to entrusting him with an important position. Dao Lord, I've also met Han Qianwei. He has a strong desire for control. Even if he succeeds in Dao integration, I'm afraid he won't be able to fully trust him. Li Feng still felt a little worried when sending Ning Cheng away from the Grand Essence Realm. He wasn't worried for no reason. Although Kang Xiushan and the others were also Dao integration powerhouses, they never cared about the affairs of the Grand Essence Dao Court. After Han Qianwei joined the Grand Essence Dao Court, Han Qianwei became the person with the highest cultivation in the entire Grand Essence Dao Court. If Ning Cheng wasn't there, no one could control Han Qianwei. Ning Cheng showed a slight smile. I don't believe in Han Qianwei. I believe in his Dao. The reason why he succeeded in Dao integration is definitely not a lie. Many people understand this truth, but there are too few who can really do it. Everyone's Dao heart and Dao marks are different, and Han Qianwei's insights match his Dao marks. The Grand Essence Realm will eventually be repaired, and the initiative to repair the Grand Essence Realm is in my hands. With Han Qianwei's help, we might be able to collect the chaotic 5 soil faster. It's fine if he's stable, but if he's not, there will be people who will destroy him. There were so many powerhouses in the Grand Essence Mountain, including Chu Manhe, a Dao integration powerhouse. Han Qianwei was only at the early stage Dao integration, so he couldn't jump into the sky. Dao Lord Ning, long time no see. Dao Lord's cultivation has improved. Congratulations. Ning Cheng, Li Feng, and the others had just walked out of the Grand Essence Realm's protective array when someone greeted them. So it's Xiao Hutting. Nice to meet you. Ning Cheng also recognized this person. He was the Dao integration powerhouse of the Great Beginning Realm, Xiao Qiandong. Xiao Qiandong obviously didn't appear here by coincidence. He must have been waiting here for a long time, waiting for him to come out. Ning Cheng felt helpless. Xiao Qiandong was looking for him to set up a teleportation array. Ning Cheng wasn't willing to go to heavens beyond to set up a teleportation array. Without waiting for Ning Cheng to speak, Xiao Qiandong said with a smile, I'm here to inform you that Dao Lord Ning went to the Great Beginning Realm to look for a cultivator named Fang Qi. I, Dao Lord Li of the Great Beginning Realm, have always attached great importance to him. Ning Cheng interrupted Xiao Qiandong excitedly. Xiao Hutting, have you found Fang Qi? Where is he now? Fang Qi had snatched the balanced soil from a disciple of the Everlasting Island in the Great Essence Realm. Not only that, Fang Qi had also killed the disciple of the Everlasting Island ruthlessly. Because Fang Qi came from the Great Beginning Realm, Ning Cheng had gone to the Great Beginning Realm specifically for this matter. In the Great Beginning Realm, Ning Cheng had learned that Fang Qi had also snatched the Star Palace's treasure, the Star Point Plate, and his whereabouts were unknown. The balanced soil was important to Ning Cheng because it could repair the Great Essence Realm. Now that he received news about Fang Qi, he naturally felt very excited. Xiao Qiandong smiled slightly. Dao Lord Ning's guess is right. We did find Fang Qi, but Ning Cheng knew what Xiao Qiandong meant and immediately said, as long as the Great Beginning Dao Court can find a place to set up a teleportation array in heavens beyond and block all external obstructions, I'm willing to set up a teleportation array for the Great Beginning Realm. Of course, we won't trouble Dao Lord Ning with these things. The Great Beginning Dao Court will take care of it. The Great Beginning Dao Court will gather all kinds of materials. When the time comes, Dao Lord Ning will set up the array, Xiao Qiandong promised without hesitation. Ning Cheng nodded. If the Great Beginning Realm could really do this, he wouldn't mind helping to set up a teleportation array. If the Great Beginning Realm could set up a teleportation array in heavens beyond, then the Great Essence Realm could do the same. Xiao Hutting, please tell me where Fang Qi is now. Ning Cheng wasn't most concerned about helping to set up the teleportation array, but about where Fang Qi was. Chapter 1300. If Dao Lord Ning doesn't mind, please come to my absolute beginning realm. Shao Qiandong invited Ning Cheng again. If it were any other matter, Ning Cheng would have refused without hesitation. But since it involved Balance Earth, Ning Cheng had no reason to refuse Shao Qiandong. Regarding Ning Cheng's arrival, Dao Lord Li Jianqing of the Taichu Dao Court showed great enthusiasm and personally welcomed Ning Cheng and the others to the guest hall. The people accompanying Ning Cheng and the others were all peak experts of the absolute beginning realm. In addition to Dao Court Dao Lord Li Jianqing, there were also Dao Integration Guardian Timothy and Shao Qiandong. No Allah, the first pillar of the Taichu Taoist court, was also there. On Ning City's side, apart from the old fart, there was also Lu Dongsa and Li. Li's cultivation was low, and apart from her beauty, she had no other attractive qualities. Moreover, no one knew that Li was the former king of the Blue True Hope tribe. On the other hand, everyone knew Lu Dongsa. Now that he was in the absolute beginning realm, Ning Cheng suppressed the anxiety in his heart. Since Li Jianqing invited him over, he had to tell him where Fang Qi was. As expected, after the few of them greeted him politely and chatted for a while, Li Jianqing took the initiative to say, "I wonder if Dao Lord Ning has been to the beyond of heaven and earth?" Ning Cheng nodded. "I've been to heaven's beyond. I heard that there are many experts there." Li Jianqing, who did not care about Ning Cheng's words, said with a smile, "There are indeed many experts in heaven's beyond, but it's a place where many planes intersect. Among the planes around the beyond of heaven and earth, our 5 great realms is just an inconspicuous small plane." Ning Cheng had long since understood that the 5 grand realms were nothing compared to the other positional planes. Not to mention the other positional planes, even the Jiao-Yang Mountains' heaven and earth laws could sweep away the 5 grand realms. Hence, he did not interrupt Li Jianqing's words. He did not understand what Li Jianqing meant. Li Jianqing was not too stupid. He finally realized that the great beginning realm was nothing in the beyond of heaven and earth. There are a few major forces in the beyond of heaven and earth, and they all have Dao integration experts. While Li Jianqing was speaking, Ning Cheng felt disdain in his heart. A Dao integration powerhouse. That's because you haven't come into contact with those world creator experts. You're lucky. The few creation realms of the beyond of heaven and earth are trapped in the Jiao-Yang mountain. I reckon they won't come out so soon. Li Jianqing continued, "When we go to heavens beyond this time, Dao Lord Ning only needs to help us build the foundation of several realm teleportation arrays. The great beginning realm can complete the rest ourselves." Upon seeing that Ning Cheng did not comment, Li Jianqing continued, "By the way, Fang Qi, whom Dao Lord Ning is looking for, is also in the beyond of heaven and earth." "He's in heaven's beyond." A hint of joy appeared in Ning Cheng's eyes. He could not wait to head there immediately. He was afraid that Fang Qi would leave the beyond of heaven and earth if he was late. Timothy chimed in, "That's right. Fang Qi is indeed in the beyond of heaven and earth. However, Fang Qi's backer is very powerful. Dao Lord Ning only has these few people. I'm afraid," Timothy said as he looked at the old fart and Lu Dongsa. Ning Cheng was very calm. It was not like he had never been to the beyond of heaven and earth and he had seen several powerful forces. He had even dealt with heaven's beyond's heavenly lord, Feng Huangmei. Given his current strength, even if Feng Huangmei came, he would not be afraid. "Oh, I wonder which backer Fang Qi is relying on?" Ning Cheng asked even though he was not afraid. Timothy glanced at Ning Cheng faintly. Legend had it that Ning Cheng was not afraid of Dao integration realm experts when he was at the primordial chaos realm. However, he had never fought with Ning Cheng. As a Dao integration expert, he still felt some disdain for Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng was famous and the great beginning realm needed Ning Cheng's help. Thus, he naturally did not want to fall out with Ning Cheng. Now that Ning Cheng had asked, he said, "I went to the beyond of heaven and earth not long ago and talked to Daoist Shi Lin of the Myriad Realm auction. Our friendship is not bad. When I saw Fang Qi at the Myriad Realm auction, I planned to take him away directly. However, Daoist Shilin told me that there are not many people here that I can't touch. Feng Qi is definitely not someone I can touch. I was very puzzled at the time. Given my mid-stage Dao integration strength, can't I touch an insignificant first-step sacred emperor? Ning Qing also frowned. He might not know about others, but he was very familiar with Shilin of the Myriad World Auction. Back when he had been in the beyond of heaven and earth, Shilin had taken the initiative to befriend him and they had made some deals. Why can't I move? Ning Qing asked. Timothy looked at Ning Cheng and replied, Dao friend Shilin told me that Feng Qi has an engagement with a woman from the Seven Sockets clan's Duan. The woman beside Feng Qi is a disciple of the Duan family of 7 SOS. Duan clan of 7 SOS? Ning Cheng was even more puzzled. He had come into contact with some forces in the beyond of heaven and earth, but this was the first time he had heard of the Duan clan of the 7 SOS. Back then, Shilin had not mentioned the Duan clan of the 7 SOS to him. Timothy obviously knew that Ning Qing definitely did not know about the 7 So Duan clan. Therefore, he simply explained, the 7 So Duan clan is not a force from heavens beyond. Just like our 5 grand realms, they belong to a plane near heavens beyond. This plane is called the 7 So realm. The 7 Aqua realms heaven-earth law was so strong that it was even stronger than the Great Change realm. I heard from Dao friend Shilin that the 7 SOS Duan clan has a third-step creation realm expert who is extremely protective. Someone once killed a disciple of the 7 SOS Duan clan in heavens beyond. In the end, the 7 SOS Duan clan destroyed the plane where that person was. Ning Qing sucked in a mouthful of cold air. How vicious. Someone killed a disciple of the 7 SOS Duan clan, so exterminating the entire clan was the most ruthless way of revenge. The 7 SOS Duan clan had actually destroyed a star continent realm. What did this have to do with a star continent realm? How innocent were the people who died in vain? This showed how powerful the 7 SOS Duan clan was. The 7 SOS Duan clan did not seem to have any power in heaven and earth's beyond. They probably disdained to fight for territory in heaven and earth's beyond. The universe was vast, and it was indeed endless. Since there was a 7 SOS realm, it meant that there were many plane realms like the 7 SOS realm that did not appear in heaven and earth's beyond. Upon seeing Ning Qing not speak, Li Jianqing comforted him. Dao Lord Ning, we are different from others. We shoulder the prosperity of a realm. What can a mere Feng Qi do? For the sake of the 5 grand realms, I think it's better to give up on a small fry like him. Li Jianqing was giving Ning Qing a way out. In other words, Ning Qing had helped him find Feng Qi, but he obviously could not take Feng Qi away. He could not take Feng Qi away because Ning Qing was incompetent. It was not that Li Jianqing did not want to do something. Now that my task was completed, it was Ning Qing's turn to set up the teleportation array in the Great Beginning Realm. Ning Qing smiled faintly. Thank you, Daoist Li. As long as I'm sure that Feng Qi is in heaven and earth's beyond, I will definitely help the Great Beginning Realm set up a long-distance teleportation array. Now, I need to go to heaven and earth's beyond to see if Feng Qi is there. Of course. The Great Beginning Realm has already set up a few simple void teleportation arrays. It will take at most 2 years to get to heaven and earth's beyond from here, Li Jianqing said with a chuckle. Ning Qing did not need 2 years. With the help of the Starry Sky Wheel and the Great Beginning Realm's teleportation array, he only took half a year to reach heaven and earth's beyond. Timothy and Noala from the Great Beginning Realm had also come to heaven and earth's beyond with Ning Qing. They had come to help Ning Qing set up the teleportation array. Ning Qing and the others were still staying in the Western Domain Spatial Inn. After arriving at heaven and earth's beyond, Ning Qing did not even enter the inn. Instead, he went directly to the Myriad Realm auction. He wanted to find the auction's manager, Shilin. Upon learning that Ning Qing was coming, Shilin personally came to welcome him. When he saw that Ning Qing was already at the late-stage primordial chaos realm, he felt that it was only natural. Ning Qing had been away from heaven and earth's beyond for a long time. He absolutely did not believe that Ning Cheng had advanced from the early-stage primordial chaos realm to the late-stage primordial chaos realm in such a short time. It was obvious that Ning Cheng had indeed concealed his cultivation level back then. He was also not sure whether Ning Cheng's current cultivation level was real or not. Long time no see. Taoist Ning, you look even more elegant than before. Let's go. I'll take you to see the territory I found for you. Shi Lin laughed and greeted him from afar before he even stepped forward. The first thing he said was to take Ning Cheng to see the land that Ning Cheng had asked him for help. After Ning Cheng greeted Shi Lin, he said with a smile, I'm not in a hurry to see the territory. I have something more important to ask you, Taoist Shi. Before Shi Lin could even speak, a violent explosion erupted not far away from the two of them. Then, Dao runes spread out and some of the slightly weaker restrictions cracked. The powerful Dao rune fluctuation directly bombarded Ning Cheng's and Shi Lin's domains. Although it could not shake their domains, Ning Cheng could sense that this was at least caused by a late-stage primordial chaos expert. A late-stage primordial chaos sacred emperor was considered an expert in the 5 great realms and even some places in the void. However, in heaven and earth's beyond, he was afraid that he was still far from being one. Very soon, Ning Cheng saw the two people who had attacked, a man and a woman. Both of them were at the late-stage primordial chaos realm, so they had no scruples when they attacked. The restrictions on the street shattered inch by inch, and even some shops were destroyed by the aftermath of their divine powers. The more they fought, the stronger they became. However, Ning Cheng asked in confusion, Manager Shi, these two are fighting so openly here. Why didn't anyone come out to stop them? Why didn't Dao Lord Fengjiu ask? Dao Lord Fengjiu was heaven's beyond's heavenly lord, Feng Huangmei. In Ning Cheng's opinion, if 2 primordial chaos sacred emperors dared to fight in a place like heaven and earth's beyond, they would be obliterated immediately. Shi Lin shook his head and whispered, that man is from the sacred Dao sect. His name is Ding Jie. Taoist Ning, you should have heard of the sacred Dao sect. The sect master of the sacred Dao sect destroyed the Lu family. That woman's origin is even more extraordinary. She is Duan Yuxue from the Duan clan of the 7 Aqua realm. The Duan clan of the 7 Aqua realm? Does she have an engagement partner called Fang Qi? Ning Cheng blurted out. Shi Lin looked at Ning Cheng in confusion and said, how did you know? That's right. Duan Yuxue has an engagement partner called Fang Qi. Originally, the 7 Aqua realm disdained a place like heaven and earth's beyond. However, ever since Duan Yuxue came, they seemed to be interested in this place. Chapter 1301. Hearing Shi Lin affirm this matter, Ning Cheng felt even more puzzled. Manager Shi, this Duan Yuxue is already at the perfected primordial chaos realm. According to my understanding, that Fang Qi hasn't even reached the second step of Dao validation. Isn't this difference a little too great? One could not blame Ning Cheng for thinking like this. Don't look at the huge difference in cultivation between him and Ji Luofei. In fact, when he entered the starry sky to cultivate, he felt that the difference in strength between Dao companions was very small. Clearly, Duan Yuxue and Fang Qi were not childhood sweethearts, and there was a huge gap in their strength. Shi Lin showed a faint smile and spoke, Dao friend Ning, if you look at Fang Qi, you will understand. The man wearing a red scarf in the distance is Fang Qi. Ning Cheng followed Shi Lin's direction and saw a man wearing a yellow robe and a red scarf over his head standing in a relatively distant place. Fang Qi's cultivation strength was at the Dao transformation realm, but he was tall and slim, emitting an extremely confident aura. His skin was the color of a starry sky bronze, and his face was not only handsome, but also elegant and delicate. It was hard to describe a man's perfect combination of roughness and elegance, but Fang Qi was the perfect example. It was no wonder that Duan Yuxue was captivated by Fang Qi. Elder brother Shi, I will talk to you later, I want to find this Fang Qi to settle a small account. Ning Cheng finished, as his figure flashed, directly passing through the two people fighting, and rushed towards Fang Qi. Shi Lin had been talking to Ning Cheng from the side while watching the excitement. The Infinite Realms auction house didn't want to get involved in such a matter. But he did not expect that Ning Cheng would rush over to Fang Qi. At this time, it was already too late for him to stop him. Shi Lin felt anxious in his heart. Ning Cheng had just been standing next to him, and if he were to rush over and attack Fang Qi, it would be impossible. To him, it was like yellow mud falling into his pants. Even if it wasn't shit, it was still shit. Fang Qi hadn't reached Tao Actualization Divine Emperor for long, but his power was far stronger than ordinary Tao Actualization Divine Emperor. He had traveled alone in the void and experienced too many dangers. He had relied on his sense of smell and luck to escape, and his strength was getting stronger and stronger. When Ning Cheng came over, he also noticed it for the first time. What shocked him the most was that even though he knew that Ning Cheng was coming for him, he did not even have the ability to move out of the way. He did not even have the ability to use his trump card to escape, before Ning Cheng grabbed his neck. "Aunt, how dare you?" Duan Yushui, who was in the middle of a battle with that man, immediately saw Fang Qi getting restrained. How could she care about the man she was fighting? Her figure flashed and she directly rushed towards Ning Cheng. She didn't even care about the Dao charm attack behind her. She was just a primordial chaos sacred emperor. In her eyes, other primordial chaos sacred emperors were just ants. On the other hand, the man who was fighting with Duan Yushui was very gentlemanly. When he saw that Duan Yushui wanted to save her, he didn't want to take advantage of her. He took the initiative to divert his offensive Dao ripples, allowing Duan Yushui to avoid being injured. Holding Fang Qi, Ning Cheng saw Duan Yushui lunging at him, but he didn't move. Instead, he threw out a punch. A violent Dao charm aura swept out, and Ning Cheng's fist momentum seemed to have shackled it to form a straight line that slammed into Duan Yushui's body. Boom! Crack! The previously ferocious Duan Yushui's Dao charm domain immediately shattered, and Ning Cheng's punch blasted her away. She crashed into a restriction at the corner of the street and shattered it. Even Shi Lin was shocked by Ning Cheng's punch, let alone Duan Yushui and the man. He knew that Ning Cheng was powerful, but he didn't expect Ning Cheng to be this powerful. Shi Lin wasn't clear about Duan Yushui's strength, but he knew who Ding Jia was. He was a figure that the sacred Dao sect couldn't afford to offend. As long as one didn't reach Dao integration, few in heavens beyond were a match for Ding Jia. Duan Yushui and Ding Jia were evenly matched, which showed how powerful Duan Yushui was. In front of Ning Cheng, Duan Yushui couldn't even take one punch. Fang Qi was indeed brave. He didn't even change his expression when Ning Cheng lifted him up by the neck. Duan Yushui was blown away by Ning Cheng's punch. Fang Qi's expression started to change. Duan Yushui couldn't even take one move from Ning Cheng. This was the first time he had miscalculated. "Are you Fang Qi?" Ning Cheng stared at the man he had picked up and asked in a cold voice. Fang Qi said in a calm tone, "I, Fang Qi, admire your strength. However, if you want me, Fang Qi, to talk to you like this, then kill me. I'd rather have my head chopped off than be humiliated." Ning Cheng raised his hand and threw Fang Qi to the ground. "I only have one question for you. Back then, after snatching the balanced soil from the Limitless Island's disciple on Isu's star, were you the one who killed that disciple?" Fang Qi stood up calmly and patted the dust off his clothes. Then, he said calmly, "I was wondering who it was. It turns out to be Dao Lord Ning from the Taisu Dao court. Since Dao Lord Ning knows about this, you must have a crystal image. In that case, I, Fang Qi, would seem stingy if I didn't admit it. That's right, I was the one who did it. Everyone can snatch good things, but I didn't kill him immediately. That person wanted to snatch my things, so I killed him." Ning Cheng laughed out of extreme anger. Good, good. Only you can snatch other people's things, but others can't snatch yours. Good theory. As Ning Cheng's killing intent rose, a powerful spatial crushing aura pressed down on Fang Qi. At this time, Shi Lin rushed over and said, "Dao friend Ning, please calm down. Let's talk things over." Shi Lin couldn't help but feel anxious. Killing Fang Qi was like killing an ant. But behind Fang Qi, the Duan clan of the Seven Soas could not afford to offend the Myriad Realms auction. Not to mention that the old ancestor of the Myriad Realms auction wasn't in the heavens beyond of heaven and earth. Even if the old ancestor was here, so what? If Ning Qing hadn't shown any familiarity with him before, he would have acted like a hoodlum and pretended not to know anything. However, Ning Qing was standing beside him and talking and laughing with him. Shi Lin couldn't pretend anymore. Stop. Another cold voice spoke up. This voice didn't have Shi Lin's tone of discussion. Instead, it had a strong commanding tone. The one who spoke was Duanyo Shui, who had been blasted away by Ning Qing. After Duanyo Shui felt shocked by Ning Cheng's strength, she quickly reacted and stepped forward to scold Ning Cheng. If you dare to touch even a strand of his hair, I will make sure you die without a burial place. I will bury your planet with you. Everyone you know will have their essence spirits extracted and burned for billions of years. Ning Cheng's gaze suddenly turned even colder, and his killing intent surged out in waves. The other party could threaten him, but he could never threaten the people around him, let alone the Grand Essence realm. Slap! Duanyo Shui's voice had just fallen when Ning Cheng slapped her. Duanyo Shui spat out a mouthful of blood and a dozen teeth on the spot. Dao friend Ning, you must calm down. The Seven Aqua realm has many experts, especially third-step experts. Don't be impulsive. Shi Lin felt even more desperate. He worried that Ning Cheng would kill Duanyo Shui. Therefore, he could only rush ahead of Ning Cheng and carefully persuade him. The man who had fought with Duanyo Shui before snorted disdainfully, your Seven Aqua Duan clan sure is powerful. You scared me to death. Ning Cheng ignored Shi Lin, and even ignored Duanyo Shui, who still couldn't believe that he had slapped her. He just stared at Fang Qi and spoke, I'll ask you one last time. Where is the balanced soil that you snatched away? Fang Qi didn't show any fear and spoke with a loud voice, I'm from the Seven Aqua Duan clan. Heng Yang naturally stayed in the Seven Aqua Duan clan. Very well. After hearing this sentence, Ning Cheng raised his hand and punched out. Except for a ring, which Ning Cheng put away, Fang Qi's entire body turned into a blood mist under Ning Cheng's slap. A faint smell of blood permeated the place, and no one spoke anymore. Even the man who had fought with Duanyo Shui looked at Ning Cheng with his mouth wide open. Although he disdained Duanyo Shui, he didn't kill Fang Qi. Otherwise, he would have killed Fang Qi a long time ago. This fellow, whom Shi Lin addressed as fellow Taoist Ning, was simply too powerful. You. Duanyo Shui's entire body trembled. Her entire body softened due to anger and regret. If she knew that Ning Cheng wouldn't listen to her threat, she would rather kowtow to Ning Cheng and beg for mercy than kill Fang Qi. It didn't matter if he slapped her, but Fang Qi couldn't die. Her entire body trembled, not out of fear, but out of anger and sorrow. To her, Fang Qi was her everything. For the first half of her life, she had been pursuing the Great Tao endlessly. Only after meeting Fang Qi did she know what happiness and enjoyment were in life. But now, Fang Qi had been killed. Her most precious thing had been killed. She swore in her heart that if she didn't destroy the world where this person was, and if she didn't kill everyone around this person, she wouldn't be Duanyo Shui. She could feel the powerful killing intent coming from Ning Cheng's body, causing her to abruptly put away her pride. She was sure that if she dared to threaten Ning Cheng at this time, she might not be able to walk out of heavens beyond. Ning Cheng looked at Duanyo Shui coldly, waiting for her to make a move. If Duanyo Shui dared to attack, he would immediately cripple her. If Duanyo Shui didn't take the initiative to attack, he wouldn't take the initiative to attack either. This matter didn't have much to do with Duanyo Shui, so he took the initiative to leave a path for reconciliation. No matter how much Duanyo Shui begged for mercy, he had to kill Fang Qi. The disciples of Everlasting Island were looking for materials to repair the Great Simplicity realm. Fang Qi stole the treasures and killed them. It would be strange if he didn't kill Fang Qi. The Seven SOS Duan clan might be strong, but no matter how strong it was just a force in the Seven SOS realm. If the 7 SOS Duan clan didn't care about the path of reconciliation he left behind, he wouldn't be afraid. To Ning Cheng's surprise, Duanyo Shui actually calmed down and asked gently, "Who are you?" "Ning Cheng of grand simplicity," Ning Cheng said without hesitation. Too many people knew about his origin, so there was no need to hide it. "Okay, I'll remember it." Duanyo Shui turned around and left without saying another word. Seeing Duanyo Shui leave alone, Shi Lin sighed. "Dao friend Ning, you've stirred up big trouble this time." Ning Cheng looked at Duanyo Shui's back and suddenly said, "That piece of earth balance belongs to my great simplicity realm. I hope to negotiate with the 7 SOS Duan clan to resolve this matter." Ning Cheng had asked Duanyo Shui to bring this sentence to the 7 SOS Duan clan. Duanyo Shui felt shocked when she heard this sentence. She had seen arrogant people before, but she had never seen someone as arrogant as Ning Cheng. Killing Fang Qi was akin to slapping her in the face. Not only did he not wait for the 7 SOS Duan clan's anger to quell, he even wanted to use earth balance. Was this person crazy? A madman had killed Fang Qi. She even regretted staying in heavens beyond with Fang Qi. Her 7 SOS Duan clan would definitely destroy the Great Simplicity realm. But no matter how much they destroyed the other party's realm, it wouldn't bring Fang Qi back to life. Shi Lin felt utterly speechless. He knew that Ning Cheng's strength wasn't any lower than Dao perfection, but this was just too arrogant. Ha ha ha. The man who fought with Duanyo Shui suddenly laughed and walked over. He cupped his fists towards Ning Cheng and said, "Brother Ning, this feels great. I'm Ding Jie from the Sacred Dao sect of the Sacred Dao world." Chapter 1302. Ding Jie had a thick beard on his face and looked very old, as if an ancient expert had suddenly appeared. Ning Cheng could tell from his Dao rune aura that Ding Jie was not very old. Ning Cheng appreciated Ding Jie very much. Ding Jie had not held back during the battle with Duanyo Shui. However, when Duanyo Shui had rushed towards him, Ding Jie had not wanted to take advantage of her, which showed that he was an upright person. "Brother Ding is upright and I admire you very much. I'm Ning Cheng from the Great Simplicity realm. Brother Ding has just advanced to primordial chaos and is slightly injured, but you are not afraid of that perfected primordial chaos woman." "You are indeed extraordinary," Ning Cheng said with cupped fists. Ding Jie laughed. "Although I think I'm good, I'm still far from Brother Ning. Duanyo Shui and I are about the same, but Brother Ning sent Duanyo Shui flying with one punch. I used to think that no one could compare to Sect Master. Today, after seeing Brother Ning, I realized that the universe is vast and there are too many people stronger than me." Ning Cheng smiled but did not speak. He knew that the Sect Master Ding Jie had mentioned should be Sect Master Yi. He had taught Yi Huangping a lesson and had spoken to Luo Qinghe. He did not have a good impression of the Sacred Dao sect at first, but both Luo Qinghe and Ding Jie were upright people, which made him feel a little better about the Sacred Dao sect. In a weak sect, not everyone would be weak, and there definitely wouldn't be so many upright people. Shi Lin came over with a bitter face and said, "You two can talk later. Duanyo Shui has already left heavens beyond. I guess the 7 Sockets Duan clan will come looking for her soon." Given the strength of the 7 Sockets Duan clan, even the Myriad Realm auction can't get out of this. Shi Lin wasn't complaining, he was speaking the truth. In order to vent their anger, the Duan clan of the 7 pagodas could destroy a realm, let alone a force in the beyond of heaven and earth of the infinite realm auction. Now that the patriarch was not in heavens beyond, it was not impossible for the 7 Sockets Duan clan to destroy the Myriad Realm auction. Ning Cheng suddenly thought of the powerful Sect Master Yi of the Sacred Dao sect. If Ding Jie and the 7 Sockets Duan clan fought, it meant that the Sacred Dao sect and the 7 Sockets Duan clan did not have a good relationship. If he could join forces with Sect Master Yi, he might not even need to return to the Grand Essence realm to deal with the 7 Ways Duan clan. It was just that he had taught Yi Huangping a lesson. He didn't know if Sect Head Yi would bear a grudge. "Brother Ding, why did you fight with Duanyo Shui of the 7 SOS Duan clan?" Ning Cheng did not answer Shi Lin's words but asked Ding Jie. The smile on Ding Jie's face disappeared. Duan Yushui wants to encircle the beyond of heaven and earth by relying on the power of the Duan clan of the 7 pagodas. Who doesn't know that the beyond of heaven and earth has a master? She took a fancy to my cave abode and forcefully destroyed my cave abode's restriction, wanting me to sell it to them. It's been many years since I've come to this immortal's cave abode. Now that I've finally come here, someone actually destroyed the restriction. How can I endure this? So what if it's the Duan clan of the 7 SOS? I, Ding Jia, will not act like a coward in front of them. There was no need for Ding Jia to continue. Ning Cheng understood that no one would tolerate such a thing. The Duan clan of the 7 pagodas was used to being arrogant, so they probably had a lot of territory in the beyond of heaven and earth. However, this might be his first time encountering someone like Ding Jia who resisted. Manager Shi, the beyond of heaven and earth is the intersection point of various plane realms. If the 7 pagodas realm wants to go to other planes, do they have to pass through here? Ning Cheng asked Shilin again. Shilin nodded. That's right. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many forces staying in the beyond of heaven and earth. If the 7 pagodas realm wants to go to the 5 great realms, the beyond of heaven and earth is the only way. Of course, if the 7 pagodas realm has peerless experts who are so powerful that we can't understand them, it's not impossible for them to go to the 5 great realms without passing through the beyond of heaven and earth. After Ning Cheng heard these words, his heart immediately calmed down. As long as the 7 pagodas realm wanted to go to the 5 great realms, they had to pass through the beyond of heaven and earth. Manager Shi, please take me to my territory. I'm planning to stay here for a long time, Ning Cheng said with a smile. Ning Cheng spoke with a smile. He decided to first arrange a variety of trap and kill arrays in his own territory, and then arrange a transmission array. Once the experts from the 7 pagodas realm came, they would not be willing to reason with him. He would use the confinement killing array to block them. If he couldn't block them, he would use the teleportation array to leave this place and return to Tai Su to prepare for the upcoming battle. Alright, I've built a cave abode for Brother Ning. I wonder if Brother Ning would like it. Shilin did not want to stand on the street and chat with Ning Cheng. The Myriad Realms auction would definitely be the scapegoat for this matter. Therefore, he might as well join forces with Ning Cheng. Feng Huangmei, that old fox, had yet to come out, which showed how terrifying the Duan clan of the 7 pagodas was. If Brother Ding doesn't mind, would you like to join us? Ning Cheng felt very grateful when he heard that Shilin had built a cave abode for him. He knew that Shilin was trying to win him over. However, if he wanted to stay in the beyond of heaven and earth, it was necessary to have a good relationship with a big auction manager like Shilin. As for inviting Ding Jia, it was also to join forces with him. Ding Jia's strength was nothing, but the sacred Dao sect behind him was not simple. The place that Shilin had found for Ning Cheng was not far from the battlefield. In less than half an incense stick's time, the 3 of them arrived outside Ning Cheng's cave abode. When he saw that Shilin had found a place for him, Ning Cheng knew that Shilin was sincerely helping him. This place was adjacent to the main street on one side and the Pen River on the other. The area was enough to build 3 commercial buildings. Building a commercial building at the front and a cultivation cave abode at the back would not affect anything. Thank you, Manager Shi. I'm very satisfied with this place. Daoist Shi is very considerate. When Ning Cheng saw this place, he expressed his gratitude with satisfaction. However, when he saw Shilin and Ding Jia's expressions, he immediately stopped talking. Manager Shi, what's going on? Shilin said with a bitter face, I didn't expect that the Duan clan of the 7 pagodas would also take a fancy to this place. They even circled it. Following Shilin's line of sight, Ning Cheng also saw a small circle in the middle of the courtyard, with 7 willows sticking out of the circle. When he saw Ning Cheng's gaze fall on the 7 willows, Shilin sighed and said, Daoist Ning, these 7 willows are the symbol of the Duan clan of the 7 pagodas. As long as they insert 7 willows here, it means that this piece of land is theirs. Ning Cheng laughed angrily. I want to see how the Duan clan of the 7 pagodas will take this piece of land from me. Manager Shi, Daoist Ding, please come in. Although he had asked Shi Lin to help find this piece of land, it was not that he had not paid anything. He had also taken out something in exchange. If the Duan clan of the 7 pagodas dared to be so unreasonable, he would not be afraid of them. When he had been at the early stage primordial chaos, he had been able to fight against Lu Saishi, who was at the false realm. Now that he was at the late stage primordial chaos, he did not believe that the Duan clan of the 7 pagodas had any integration realm experts. After entering the courtyard and sensing the rich divine spirit aura, Ning Qing felt that Shi Lin was very thoughtful. It would not be unpleasant to work with such a person in the future. After the three of them sat down, Ning Qing took the initiative to pour a cup of divine spirit tea for each of them. Then, he asked, Manager Shi, the heavens beyond is the intersection of various planes and realms. Many experts from realms and planes are stationed here. I believe that the people from the Myriad Realm Auction and the Mao clan come from their respective powerful planes. Shi Lin nodded. Daoist Ning is right. Not only the Myriad Realm Auction and several other major clans, but even the Sacred Dao sect, where Daoist Ding is from, also moved here from the Sacred Dao world. As Daoist Ning asked before, the heavens beyond is a place that one must pass through to go from one plane to another. This place is particularly important. I believe that Daoist Ning did not come here purely because it is better to cultivate in seclusion here. This was not a secret to experts. Since Ning Qing had asked, Shi Lin did not need to hide it. Ning Qing smiled. Manager Shi is right. The Great Simplicity Realm's laws are broken and far inferior to other planes. Just like the Duan clan of the 7 pagodas, they should come from a very powerful plane. Although the heavens beyond intersects with various major planes, some powerful planes do not send people here. The 7 pagodas must be one of them. I don't know much about the beyond of heaven and earth and this void. I'd like to ask Manager Shi, how many powerful planes are there like the 7 Aqua realm that intersects with the beyond of heaven and earth but doesn't reside there permanently? Even Ding Jia pricked up his ears to listen to Ning Cheng's question. Obviously, he was not very clear about Ning Cheng's question. Only the Myriad Realm Auctions manager, who could come into contact with all kinds of people, would have such information. Shi Lin pondered for a moment before saying, in fact, I don't know much either. There are indeed many planes that intersect with the heavens beyond. Some of them are permanently stationed here, while some of them are not permanently stationed here but often pass through here. There are also some people from other planes who are not permanently stationed here and have never come here. Ning Qing cupped his fists and said, Manager Shi, as long as you tell me what you know about the powerful planes that exist in the heavens beyond, I will be very grateful. Shi Lin nodded. As far as I know, there are 7 powerful planes in the periphery of the heavens beyond. They are the Heavenly Gate realm, the 3 Primordial realm, the 9 Heavens realm, the 7 Pagodas realm, the Longevity realm, the Jiao Yang realm, and the Innocuous realm. It is said that the Heavenly Gate realm is the closest realm to the Creation Tao. In fact, very few people from the Heavenly Gate realm come to the heavens beyond. I only know about the Heavenly Gate realm from others. The Jiao Yang realm. There is a Jiao Yang mountain in the void. I wonder if it has anything to do with the Jiao Yang realm. Ning Qing immediately asked when he heard about the Jiao Yang realm. Shi Lin thought of the patriarch who had gone to the Jiao Yang mountain and never returned. He sighed and said, that's right. The Jiao Yang mountain is just a mountain in the Jiao Yang realm. In fact, before the ancient creation war, the Great Simplicity realm and the 5 great realms were all realms within the Jiao Yang realm. Ning Qing gasped. Although the 5 great realms were between planes and realms, it was not an exaggeration to say that they were separated by planes. Coupled with the vast endless void, it was just a realm of the Jiao Yang realm. Chapter 1303. Ning Qing sighed in his heart. Before entering the Great Simplicity realm, he could feel his own strength every time he advanced. But now, every time he leveled up, he felt that he was weak. The ignorant were fearless. Perhaps this was the same mentality he had before. The higher his cultivation level, the more people and things he came into contact with, the more he knew his own shortcomings. Even with the mysterious yellow bead, he might not be able to stand at the peak of this universe. Similarly, there were people who were not worse than him and stronger than him. Seeing Ning Cheng in deep thought, Shi Lin sighed and said, Taoist Ning, the 7 Aqua realm is not weaker than the Jiao Yang realm. After the creation war, the 7 Aqua realm's strength was greatly reduced, but it did not lose its foundation. It is a good thing that Taoist Ning did not kill Duan Yuxue. Given the 7 Aqua Duan clan's speed, it would not take long for them to reach heavens beyond. I suggest that Taoist Ning leave heavens beyond quickly and return to the Great Simplicity realm to think of a way. Ning Cheng naturally understood the meaning behind Shi Lin's words, that is, he wanted him to escape. Return to the Great Simplicity realm and escape with the people around him. Given the relationship between him and Shi Lin, it was not easy for Shi Lin to say such words. Ning Cheng smiled slightly and said with cupped fists, Taoist Shi, based on what you said, I will acknowledge you as a friend in the future. Given the 7 Aqua Duan clan's shameless behavior, even if I leave, I'm afraid they will not let go of the Myriad Realm auction, right? There was another sentence that Ning Cheng didn't say. Not to mention the Myriad World auction. If the 7 Aqua Duan clan was really so arrogant, even Feng Huangmei would not be able to escape. Shi Lin said helplessly, I know. My Myriad Realm auction has a bit of a background, so the 7 Aqua Duan clan will definitely give us some face. Ning Cheng said unhurriedly, Brother Ding comes from the sacred Tao world, so I guess you will be implicated this time. Ding Jie slammed the table. What has the sacred Tao sect not seen before? Why would we be afraid of the 7 Aqua Duan clan? This time, it was the 7 Aqua Duan clan that provoked me. If Shi Lin was implicated by Ning Cheng, then the enmity between Ding Jie and the 7 Aqua Duan clan had nothing to do with Ning Cheng. Fellow Taoist Shi, Brother Ding, I think that since we can't escape, we might as well join forces. I'll have to trouble fellow Taoist Shi to invite Heaven Lord Feng Huang. Shi Lin shook his head and interrupted Ning Cheng's words, Tao friend Ning, I'm afraid that Heavenly Lord Feng wouldn't want to wade into these muddy waters. Moreover, he wouldn't even be able to get himself out of this mess, so why would he take the initiative to join in? Ning Cheng was just about to speak when he heard a slightly tired voice, what Tao friend Ning said is correct, I will indeed take the initiative to join. Ning Cheng raised his hand to open the restriction on the door, and a man with yellow eyebrows walked in. Shi Lin and Ding Jie hurriedly stood up, cupped their fists and greeted, Greetings, Tao Monarch Heaven Master. Ning Cheng also stood up and cupped his fists in greeting. In his heart, he was rather impressed. The restriction just now was set up by him casually. Feng Huangmei could hear their conversation, which meant that his strength was indeed far stronger than Shi Lin's. The yellow-browed Heavenly Lord's Tao name was Feng Jiu, but everyone called him Heavenly Lord Tao Lord because he was the Heavenly Lord of the heavens beyond. Feng Huangmei hurriedly greeted everyone. After sitting down, he said with a long sigh, Taoist Ning is right. Given the arrogance and barbarism of the 7 Pagodas Duan clan, I don't think they care whether I took action or not. If they were really angry, let alone Taoist Ning's great simplicity realm, they would even shatter the heavens beyond if it weren't for the importance of this place. That's because they have already broken several planetary realms. I have no way out. As Taoist Ning said, everyone's strength will be greater if we join forces. Unfortunately, the experts of the heavens beyond are not here, and I don't know when they will return. Ning Cheng knew very well where the creation realm experts of the heavens beyond were trapped. If he did not have the recalling Bodhi seed, he would have died under Jiao Yanghai's axe pattern, let alone advance to the late-stage primordial chaos. Feng Huangmei's participation made Shi Lin and Ding Jie very happy. Ning Cheng was also in a good mood. With a creation realm expert like Feng Huangmei holding the fort, they would be more confident no matter what. Regardless of whether Feng Huangmei was in a real world or a fake world, it was true that he had touched the third step. The level of the Heavens Beyond Realms defense array was extremely high, and even Ning Cheng could not set up such a top-notch defense array. Now that Feng Huangmei had joined, he could discuss with Feng Huangmei and the others about sealing off the heavens beyond and setting up some confinement killing arrays there. If the 7 pagodas Duan clan really fell out with them, they would kill one if they came. There was nothing to be afraid of. After Feng Huangmei said this, he paused for a while before looking at Ning Cheng and asking, Daoist Ning, do you have a better way to solve this matter? If the 7 pagodas Duan clan wants to cause trouble, they will probably come to me first. My idea is to set up a confinement killing array and restrict the entry and exit of the heavens beyond. Not everyone could enter the beyond of heaven and earth. If they did, they would have to be governed by the rules there. If anyone comes to the heavens beyond, they can also encircle the land. The existence of the heavens beyond would be meaningless, Ning Qing said. He did not say this casually. There were too many forces in the heavens beyond, and everyone restrained each other, so it had always been peaceful. However, once an expert came, he could simply encircle the land here and nobody would come out to deal with it. This time, they had encircled the sacred Dao sect's Ding Jie. If they had encircled an itinerant cultivator with a small background, that itinerant cultivator would probably have to give way obediently. This matter is easy to say, but it's too difficult to do. Feng Huangmei shook his head. Ning Qing knew what Feng Huangmei was worried about. It was the other major forces in the heavens beyond. He immediately said, Don't worry, Heavenly Lord Feng. I'm familiar with the other creation realm experts in the heavens beyond. I believe that when everyone sits together to discuss this matter, they will not be unreasonable. Ding Jie clapped his hands and said, That's right. The sacred Dao sect was going to take the lead in this matter. However, the sect master has been too busy and has not been free. If Brother Ning takes the lead in this matter, it will only benefit the heavens beyond. Alright, since Daoist Ding and Daoist Ning think it's feasible, Feng Huangmei will naturally not obstruct this matter, Feng Huangmei said after a slight hesitation. In fact, Ning Cheng had only mentioned one aspect of his worries. There was another aspect that he decided to tell Ning Cheng later. It would not have been a problem to seal the heavens beyond in the past, but it was somewhat difficult now. Upon seeing that Shi Lin had agreed, Ning Cheng added, We'll talk about this matter after we block the 7 So's Duan clan. Before that, I would like to ask something. I heard from Daoist Shi that a powerful realm like the 7 SOS realm used to be very disdainful of the heavens beyond. Even if they came here, they would just be passing by. Is it related to Fang Qi or is it for some other reason that Duan Yuxue wants to encircle the heavens beyond for a long time? Ning Cheng would never believe that Duan Yuxue was so arrogant about encircling the heavens beyond without the 7 So's Duan clan's permission. Duan Yuxue was strong, but there were countless people who were stronger than her in the heavens beyond. How could Duan Yuxue encircle the land here? Fang Qi's persuasion was possible, but even if Fang Qi could influence Duan Yuxue, he reckoned that he would not be able to influence the 7 So's Duan clan. Shi Lin and Ding Jie did not say anything. Only Feng Huangmei looked helpless. When he saw Ning Cheng and the others looking at him, he said with a sigh, Actually, this is really an unexpected disaster. Not only the 7 SOS realm, but even the other large realms have people passing by the heavens beyond recently. I was going to talk about this later, but since Daoist Ning asked, I'll just say it now. Heavenly Lord Feng, we're on the same side now. If there's anything, we'll naturally say it and we'll think of a solution together, Ning Qing said straightforwardly. Feng Huangmei said solemnly, I wonder if the few of you have heard about the condensation of the good fortune indestructible axe recently? Shi Lin and Ding Jie nodded, and Shi Lin said, That's right, I've indeed heard about this. I heard that the good fortune indestructible axe was condensed in an inconspicuous place called the Buzhou Peak. Because of this, many cultivators who possessed fragments of the good fortune indestructible axe were seriously injured or even killed. Ning Cheng also nodded. Not only had he heard about this, but he had also seen it with his own eyes. Feng Huangmei said with a bitter face, the Buzhou Peak, where the indestructible axe was formed, was in a void on the periphery of the Jiaoyang mountain. Many people saw it at that time. Because of the formation of the indestructible axe, many people died. At the same time, there were also many who survived. The cultivators who survived spread the news to the sky beyond plain. Naturally, the news spread to the surrounding regions of the sky beyond plain. Moreover, when the indestructible axe was condensed, the entire vast void was filled with the roar of Tao runes. This matter could not be faked. You're saying that the Seven So's Duan clan also came to look for the indestructible axe? Ning Qing already had a bad premonition. If the Seven So's Duan clan came to look for the indestructible axe, then people from other plane realms could also come to look for it. Feng Huangmei nodded with a heavy heart. That's right. The Seven So's Duan clan came to look for the indestructible axe. Because of the news about the indestructible axe, the Seven So's Duan clan realized the importance of heavens beyond. They wanted to be the first to set up a base in heavens beyond. That's why they marked the land. Duan Yuxue was just making the first move for the Seven So's Duan clan. After saying that, Feng Huangmei pointed at the 7 willows in Ning Cheng's courtyard and said with a bitter smile, "Do you think that they marked the land for the landlords to see? Actually, that's not the case. It's for the people from other plane realms to see. They really don't care about the people from heavens beyond." Ding Jie snorted coldly upon hearing this. Come on then. I want to see how capable they are. Shi Lin was even more worried and did not even have the intention to speak. It was no wonder that the Heavenly Lord was so fearful. It turned out that the Seven So's Duan clan was just the tip of the iceberg when it came to invading heavens beyond. Ning Qing stood up instead. Heavenly Lord Feng, whether it's a blessing or a curse, we can't avoid it. Since we're here, we don't have to be afraid. Even if we hide and kneel to welcome them, they won't be grateful because of this. They'll still make a move when it's time. I agree with Brother Ding. Come on then. Let's see how capable we are. Chapter 1304. The Heavens Beyond's God abode was not only Feng Huangmei's cave abode but also a place where the major forces of heaven and earth's beyond discussed matters. What puzzled all the forces in heavens beyond was that the Heaven Lord of Heavens Beyond, Feng Huangmei, would usually hold a meeting when the patriarchs of the major forces were present. This time, none of the patriarchs returned. Feng and Huangmei's meeting was something that had never happened before. As the only third-step expert in the beyond of heaven and earth, no one dared to not attend the meeting, regardless of whether it was strange or not. Yemo, Huangmei, and the rest knew very well that the voices of heaven beyond heaven had to be unified as soon as possible. Otherwise, the Duan clan of 7 Soas would arrive at heavens beyond soon. The Sacred Tao World's deputy sect master, Luo Qinghe, was not in the beyond of heaven and earth, so Ding Jie was in charge of the Sacred Tao sect. Ning Qing understood that Ding Jie had an extraordinary relationship with the Sacred Tao sect master since Ding Jie had the right to speak for the Sacred Tao sect. The response to the Heaven Master's Mansion's General Assembly came very quickly. Ning Qing, Feng Huangmei, Shi Lin and Ding Jie had not sat down for long when a group of powerhouses arrived at the Heaven Master's Mansion's Assembly Hall. Other than Shi Lin, who was already seated here, the first protector of the Myriad Domain Auction, Rathpot, was also here. Min Clan's clan head Min Shen, Mao Clan's clan head Mao Wuliang, Heavens Beyond Resthouse manager Qiu Yi, and Remote Cliff Weapon Pavilion's pavilion master La Sua were all here. Once Ning Qing arrived at Heavens Beyond, Mao Wuyao found out. The Mao clan and Ning Qing had a grudge, but the Mao clan's old ancestor wasn't in the sky beyond heaven, and Ning Cheng's strength was too terrifying. If he didn't see Ning Qing, he could pretend not to know anything. Now that Ning Qing was here, it was obvious that Ning Qing would be a part of the beyond of heaven and earth in the future. He could only take the initiative to greet Ning Qing. Feng Huangmei knew best about the predicament the beyond of heaven and earth was facing. When he saw that everyone was present, he did not even say anything unnecessary. Instead, he went straight to the point and said in a heavy tone, "I'm sure everyone knows why I invited everyone here. I don't need to tell you how powerful the 7 So Duan clan is. Now that the Duan clan of the 7 pagodas has suffered a great loss in heaven and earth, they will definitely not let this matter rest. I invited everyone here to discuss this matter together. Although Feng Huangmei, Ning Cheng, and the others had already discussed it, Feng Huangmei still wanted to ask for everyone's opinion. Although this method was watertight and wouldn't offend anyone, it would take up too much time. La Suo snorted and was the first to stand up. Tao Monarch Heaven Lord, we are indeed aware of this matter. However, this matter has nothing to do with our Tool Pavilion. The remote cliff Tool Pavilion did not offend the Duan clan. Now, someone has offended the Seven Sockets Duan clan, yet you want us to take the blame? Isn't this going too far? While speaking, La Suo also glanced at Ning Cheng and Ding Jie. Everyone knew that Ning Cheng and Ding Jie fought against Duan Yushui on the street and that Ning Cheng killed Ding Jie with one slap. Ning Cheng was a bit puzzled. In his opinion, the first to stand up should be the Mao clan. Unexpectedly, before the Mao family said anything, La Suo of the remote cliff weapon pavilion was the first to stand out. La Suo was at the early stage Dao integration realm. In terms of cultivation level, he was only slightly higher than Ning Cheng and Ding Jie. Shi Lin frowned slightly. The Infinite Domain auction didn't have any conflict of interest with the Remote Cliff Weapon Pavilion, but the Remote Cliff Weapon Pavilion definitely couldn't stay out of this matter. Unless the Remote Cliff Weapon Pavilion immediately withdrew from Heavens Beyond, it was obvious that the Remote Cliff Weapon Pavilion would not do that. Ning Cheng did not speak, as speaking at this time would be equivalent to disrespecting Feng Huangmei. Feng Huangmei's expression did not change. He just smiled slightly. In that case, the Remote Cliff Weapon Pavilion doesn't plan to resist the Seven Sockets Duan clan with us. La Suo was afraid of Feng Huangmei, but the Remote Cliff Weapon Pavilion's patriarch, Lu Saishi, was also a creation realm expert. Feng Huangmei wouldn't dare to do anything to him. Yes, Tao Lord Heavenly Lord. This matter has nothing to do with the Remote Cliff Weapon Pavilion. We don't want to get involved in this mess. This sentence was even more straightforward. Feng Huangmei nodded. Who else doesn't want to get involved in this mess? Speak up. Mao Wushue wanted to stand up and speak several times, but he saw that Min Shen of the Min family, Qiu Yi of the Heavens Beyond Inn, and Shi Lin of the Infinite Domain auction did not speak. After all, he also knew the Seven Sockets Duan clan's strength. Even if he stood up here, he would still be their enemy. After waiting for a few breaths, Feng Huangmei said, if you don't speak, it means that you will advance and retreat with us, regardless of life or death. Pavilion Master La Suo, you can leave now. La Suo had thought that after he stood up and spoke, everyone would definitely respond together. He had not expected that he would be alone. No one stood up after him and no one supported his words. Now, Feng Huangmei actually wanted him to leave. This was Heavens Beyond, and the Remote Cliff Weapon Pavilion was one of the 7 major forces in the past. Seeing that no one spoke up for him, La Suo could only speak up himself. Tao Lord Heavenly Lord, the Remote Cliff Weapon Pavilion is also a part of Heavens Beyond. The Remote Cliff Weapon Pavilion has no reason not to participate in the Heavens Beyond meeting. Ning Cheng was really impatient because of this fellow. Time was precious, and this fellow was still muttering to himself, how could he bear it? This time, without waiting for Feng Huangmei to speak, Ning Cheng stood up, took a step forward, and raised his hand to grab La Suo. La Suo was an early-stage Dao integration expert after all. When Ning Cheng's aura pressed down, he hurriedly instigated his Dao rune domain, wanting to tear apart the space that Ning Cheng was binding him in. However, when he took a step back, he knew that the surrounding space had been completely enveloped by Ning Cheng's aura. His Dao runes of the Great Dao slowed down, and so did the laws. In the face of this spatial restriction of condensed laws, his resistance was like struggling in a muddy pit, clumsy and slow. A moment later, his domain made a cracking sound. Ning Cheng broke through La Suo's domain and raised his hand to grab La Suo's neck. This is a meeting to discuss how to protect Heavens Beyond. Since you think that the Remote Cliff Weapon Pavilion has nothing to do with this meeting, you should leave as soon as possible. As he said that, Ning Cheng raised his hand and tore. A crack appeared in the spatial array in the hall. Ning Cheng shook his hand and threw La Suo out of the crack. He was not afraid of Lu Saishi, let alone an insignificant early-stage Dao integration cultivator from the remote cliff weapon pavilion. Everyone in the room sucked in a breath of cold air. He was so strong. Even Feng Huangmei's eyebrows twitched. Although Ning Cheng was currently at the late-stage primordial chaos realm, deep down, he still felt that he was slightly stronger than Ning Cheng. At that moment, he saw Ning Cheng raise his hand to grab La Sua and tear the spatial array before throwing him out without destroying it. He immediately understood that Ning Cheng's strength was definitely not weaker than his. This was another ruthless person like the sacred Dao sect master, whose strength had far exceeded his expectations. However, this was even better. The stronger Ning Cheng was, the better it would be for heavens beyond. Mao Wushu felt a chill down his spine. He was sure that Ning Cheng's strength was several times stronger than when he had barged into the Mao family. Given his strength, even if the Mao family's patriarch returned, he might not necessarily be able to restrain him. At the thought of this, Mao Wushu secretly rejoiced that he had not stepped forward. Heavenly Lord Feng, fellow Taoists. I've just arrived at heavens beyond, so I don't know how many void array entrances there are from each plane, Ning Cheng said straightforwardly after throwing La Sua away. He felt that Feng Huangmei's way of handling things was too slow. Usually, this speed did not matter. However, this was a critical time, so this kind of speed could not be handled. Feng Huangmei answered without hesitation, there are 108 void array entrances in heavens beyond of heaven and earth. Once you enter any array entrance, you will be teleported to the same place, which is the heavens beyond square. If you want to leave heavens beyond, you have to pass through the heavens beyond square. There is also a restriction array on the heavens beyond square, but its level is far inferior to the void array entrances outside heavens beyond. Ning Cheng said in a solemn tone, Heavenly Lord Feng, I suggest that we seal the heavens beyond square now. Then, we can discuss in detail how to manage these void array entrances. What do you think? Upon hearing Ning Cheng's words, Feng Huangmei looked at everyone in the hall. Nobody raised any objections. Since they were sitting there, it was equivalent to being on the same side. They did not know if sealing the heavens beyond would be useful, but this was a necessary first step. At the very least, after this step was done, heavens beyond could retreat or defend and they could talk face to face on the heavens beyond square. Otherwise, given that there were no restrictions on entering and exiting heavens beyond, it would be a mess once experts poured in. I support this. Shi Lin was the first to stand up. Then, Min Shin and Xiu Yi stood up as well. At this point, Mu Wuxiu had no choice but to stand up and support them. Feng Huangmei was very straightforward this time. He directly took out several array flags and threw them into the void. At the same time, he sent a message out. The creation realm experts from the major forces of heavens beyond were not around, so Feng Huangmei was in charge of the safety of heavens beyond. Feng Huangmei did not have much ambition and was on good terms with the major forces. Thus, he was the most suitable person to handle this matter. A series of booming sounds could be heard in the void. Ning Cheng felt the changes in the spatial law and felt slightly relieved. As an array Dao expert, Ning Cheng knew very well what was going on. When the space confinement array closed, the spatial law would change like this. As the booming sounds gradually subsided, Feng Huangmei said, I've already sealed the space array of the heavens beyond square and someone has gone to protect it. Now, after the people outside heavens beyond teleport in, they can only stay on the heavens beyond square. Unless they attack by force, there's no way for them to enter heavens beyond. Ning Cheng cupped his fists again and said, Everyone, it's not realistic to seal the void teleportation array doors in all directions of heavens beyond. After all, there are too many experts, so it's easy to offend more people. What we need to do now is to control the people entering and exiting the heavens beyond square. Before Ning Cheng could finish his sentence, a flying sword landed in Feng Huangmei's hand. Feng Huangmei grabbed the messenger flying sword and his expression changed. Someone is attacking the heavens beyond square by force. To be honest, although heavens beyond did not dare to provoke the powerful realm forces, it was not a place where any small fry could attack the heavens beyond square. As if to prove Feng Huangmei's words, a series of spatial rumbles followed Feng Huangmei's words. The laws in the void fluctuated violently. Obviously, someone was really attacking the defense array of the heavens beyond square.